Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Buddies say drama.
Yep.
We got it.
Oh, boy.
We have got it.
Yes,
Has
sir.
there ever been, in your recent memory, a year where there was no off-field drama with the Cleveland Browns?
1958.
That might be it.
Back in those
2020,
days.
there really wasn't any because of the
No, there
COVID
wasn't.
stuff, and they won.
Yeah.
Every other year, if
It's
you
very
go back,
rare.
there's always a major storyline, usually involving a star player that
Yeah.
has little to do with actually the X's and O's of the game.
The Browns not having drama is like leap year. It's every 4 years we get no drama.
Right. So we're doing a couple years.
Yeah, right.
Next year, we should have a drama-free year.
By the way,
it's crazy, man.
Before we get into the Browns, I got a couple of quickies I got to hit you
Okay.
with. Number one, the midges are back.
Oh, everywhere.
They're back. Watch out, Jabba. That joke's never going to get old, Jabba Chamberlain. I don't know what you're doing these days. But watch out. The midges are back. They're under attack. Number two, why is it that Hallmark thinks all men are awful?
They do?
Yeah, basically, because I go to buy an anniversary card for my wife, and every, 2 out of every 3 cards is, I know I never say I love you. I know I never do
really?
this.
Well, I think in general, men are less compassionate.
I know, but I would think I tell my wife I love you all the time.
I
don't
do
you
too.
guys?
Every day. Multiple
Exactly.
times a day.
Exactly.
Sometimes after just a couple hours of silence.
I mean, we're not all
do all
jerks.
No, I think it's important she knows. Of course.
I tell my wife all the time.
I do too. I'm with you, Bull.
I can't, if I do it after every hour, she
Well,
might.
not every hour, but
Yeah,
multiple
a lot.
times every day.
Yes.
All right,
When I'm leaving for work.
Okay. Yeah.
Before we go to bed, I always say
At the end of every phone call,
Yes.
you don't know if it's the last time you're going to hear her voice.
I know.
Dang, bro, y'all making me feel bad about
Come on.
my marriage.
Listen, Rose Bush deserves it.
Yes, she does. I tell my son I love him every time I drop him off at school. At
Same
night.
way with my kids.
I do that all
End
the
of
time.
every phone call, they're grown adults. And,
Yeah.
and it's always been that way.
Yeah.
And I think it's weird because my father was not that way at all.
Right.
And I remember when I would leave to go to college every time, I would say, Dad, stand up, I want a hug. And he was acting like I was dripped in acid. Okay, come here. And I knew he loved me.
Right, but he wasn't showing it that way.
One of the things we discussed before he died, when I
Yeah.
said life regrets, we had a million conversations about
Yeah.
things like that. And he said, I learned to express love too late in life. And I regret that.
And that was his generation. Men were
It
more
was
like
his
that
generation.
in that generation.
His dad fought in World War II.
Right.
Of course, that's the way it was.
Yeah.
That's the way it was.
Absolutely.
But Bull, I am confident that we are turning the corner.
Yes.
And you and I are more
Yes.
part of, and we're the older ones, we're
Yeah.
part of the newer wave of men.
That's right.
Don't be afraid to express it.
That's
I mean,
right. Show her your love.
That's right.
I mean, it's a statute of limitation on, I'll give her two I loves you.
A
Two
day.
more.
All right. I mean,
Two
that's
more.
that's
All right.
good.
Two
Still,
more
these
a day.
cards make it seem like none. And the final thing, and this is the most important.
Because in general, we are Neanderthalic.
Yes.
In general.
Absolutely. I tried a new restaurant that was so good it brought me to tears, honestly. I know we got to move on, but I got to give these guys some love.
Yeah.
Sweet Pork Wilson's.
It's got a great name.
Oh, my God. It's independently owned. They just opened 2 months ago.
Is this a chain or no?
It is not a chain. It's 2 local guys who play football at St. Ignatius.
Wow.
Right? They played they told me they beat McKinley every year. They left right before G. Bush.
Wow.
Well, not before you played. You must have played against them in your last year, but you never beat them. But you beat them after they left. But anyway,
Yeah.
Chuck Kyle's been to the restaurant already when they first opened. In fact, Austin Love went down to the restaurant too from
Did he?
WKYC.
Good.
The food. I love barbecue. I have not found a single barbecue place that I love. This was off the charts. Portions were fantastic. The food was amazing, and the guy Ramadi. And I want to mention the other owner's name because
What were the sides? Everything was good?
There was nothing below. On a scale of 1 to 10, the worst thing I ate was probably an 8.5.
And you're a really tough critic.
A tough critic.
If
tough
it's
critic.
not good, you have no problem saying
I'm
it
trying to
sucks.
find them right now.
So it's Ramadi and Ramadi Parker, Jason Brooks are the names of the guys.
Well, let's
they
do
were
this.
bringing me other things. The food was incredible. Everything I ate was amazing, but I would say if I had to pick a top 3, the ribs, the brisket, and the cornbread were 100 out of 100.
Cornbread has to be great.
Oh my God, Jay, it's the best cornbread I've ever had in my life. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
We're going to go next Thursday.
It was ridiculous.
So I was going to say, we need to plan a UCSS outing where we go as a group, we break bread, we enjoy this fine restaurant together.
Brisket was melting.
Wow.
Ribs were melting.
Now, are you
off
trying
the
to
bone.
reel them in as a show sponsor?
No. They're nice guys. They're fans. As we're leaving, this couple that sat down, they're asking me what they should have because this guy was a fan. So they love sports there. They're big sports guys.
Wow.
They love it. I told them I was going to bring some of the guys down next week.
We need to take Jack with us. Our buddy Jack.
Because
he loves barbecue.
The food was just amazing.
So.
Amazing.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, Mikey McNuggets, hello to you. Busy show. I don't need to tell you what we're teasing today.
Yeah.
It is going to be a wild show. If you didn't see the Twitter beef yesterday between a media member and a member of Deshaun Watson's entourage, I guess as it's being called, but it was wild. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was fake. It's real. We'll talk much. We'll go into great detail about that. But first, good morning, Mike. How are you, man?
What's up, guys? We're going to get some live reaction from the Browns locker room when it opens in about 20 minutes. But just so you guys know, Deshaun Watson not scheduled to speak. That is according to Mary Kay Cabot, so we will not be hearing from Deshaun Watson. We're going to get into plenty of quarterback talk in the next hour. But first, I need to remind the good people out there that if you are looking to get into any gambling action this season, you better be doing it with FanDuel. It is, without a question, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose, by placing a single $5 bet. So if you've been thinking about getting in on the action, there's no better time to join FanDuel than right now. The app is easy to use with a wide range of options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL action. FanDuel, an official partner of UCSS, an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And you can become a winner just like Brandon Nash was. He had a 4-part same-game parlay on Monday Night Football that turned $15 into $230.
All right.
He hit an under on the rushing total for Alexander Madison, over on George Kittle receiving yards, over on Kirk Cousins touchdowns, and over on George Kittle receptions. That's $15 into $228.61. You could be next just like Brendan if you use FanDuel.com/UCSS. Jay, let's talk quarterbacks, and the Browns decided to bring in a potential new quarterback at number 2 behind Deshaun Watson, assuming he can play in the near future.
Yeah, this is, guys, this has become the issue of the season. What they've done at quarterback. And we'll set the stage for you. After they broke training camp, they were ready for the season, they decided that at the most important position, perhaps in all of sports, they were good with going with a backup that had taken 0 snaps in the NFL in terms of regular season games. You're rolling the dice when you do that. You're unprepared. There's no insurance policy. There's no safety net. You hope you don't need to go to number 2, but oftentimes teams do, even if it's just for a couple of series in a game. That position, I think, has been undervalued the last decade in the NFL, and I understand why. But they need to scratch that insurance policy, and they don't have it. And we've seen what they've gotten out of quarterback in the 2 games that Deshaun Watson was unable to suit up. According to everybody that I know that follows the team closely, there are no plans to bring in a backup. Even now, as this Deshaun Watson thing looks like it's going to linger for not another game or 2. It could be multiple weeks before he comes back. Bull, I want to start with you. And I know that we've talked about why the position of backup quarterback hasn't been valued, and I get that. But have they completely fumbled this entire situation at quarterback?
100%. 100%. It's organizationally, it's been a total screw up. Number one, first of all, when they traded Josh Dobbs, none of us had a problem with it because we were like, well, Josh Dobbs, at least I was, Josh Dobbs not that good. They must really buy into DTR.
And I think they did.
But then they gave him one chance. He wasn't prepared. Certainly not all his fault. And then they said, no, that's not good enough, so we're going to go to P.J. Walker. P.J. Walker is not an NFL quarterback, in my opinion. He shouldn't even be a backup. He's a third-string quarterback at best, in my opinion. So the Watson injury, there's been no clear message. We've gotten 7 different messages about what's going on with him.
Even now,
we're not exactly sure what's going on. Clearly, He was not ready to play last Sunday. Clearly, we all know that. We all saw it. So why they have waited all this time when they knew the Browns had to know from the moment he had this injury, which is what, almost 5 weeks ago at this point?
Coming up on.
They had to know that at best, this could be a question mark the rest of the season. At best, case scenario. It's a shoulder injury. It's his throwing shoulder. You knew there was going to be an issue. Why would you not go out and address the position? In the end, we can talk about salary cap all we want. But in the end, if they had a quarterback that they got to pay $5 million, $10 million, whatever it may be, is that really good? Eventually, yes, this is all going to come to a head. But is another $5 to even $10 million going to make that big a difference in the long run? I don't see how it can. Listen, I have always been, for years, as long as you guys have known me, you can't win without a great quarterback. You can't win. And I'm still not sure you can. But this year, after it started trending back towards defense a little last year, it's trending even more that way this year. Now, I don't know if it's going to last. Maybe the second half of the season will get back to what it was second half of the season last year the offense picked up. Maybe that'll happen again this year. And the Browns' defense hasn't been perfect. They didn't play that well against Baltimore. They did not play that well against Indianapolis. But overall, the Browns' defense has been excellent. And it's starting to make me think maybe it's possible that you can once again win with average quarterback play. Maybe, if your defense is great. But, Jay, here's one thing I know, and that will never change. You can't win with garbage quarterback play. You can't win with the worst quarterback play in the league. You can win some games, but you can't win when it matters against good teams consistently with the worst quarterback play in the league. It is absolutely inexcusable for the Browns not to address this position in some manner. And I get it. The options are not amazing, whether it's Josh Dobbs or Andy Dalton or Jacoby Brissett or Ryan Tannehill or Carson Wentz. None of those guys are going to get us very excited, but you know what they all have in common? They're all better than P.J. Walker.
You hit it exactly.
Let's go.
Exactly. Not just on the nail. You hit it in the middle of the head of the nail. Can you disagree with anything Bull just said?
No. Actually, he did such a good job that I can't even rebuttal it with real words. I'm just going to go to one of my favorite books, and there's a quote in this novel, and it talks about leaderships. It says the difference between a good administrator and a bad one is about 5 heartbeats. Good administrators make immediate choices that usually can be made to work. A bad administrator, on the other hand, hesitates, diddles around, asks for committees for research and reports. Eventually, he acts in ways which create serious problems. A bad administrator is more concerned with reports than with decisions. He wants the hard record, which he can display as an excuse for his errors.
That is unbelievable. What book is that from?
That is from Dune.
A leadership. What?
From Dune?
Yeah.
No kidding.
God Emperor of Dune. It's a great novel. Shout out to Frank Herbert. One of my favorite. That was Duke Leto Atreides II. Go watch that if you haven't. Go watch it. Go check out the novel. But he hits it right on the head right here.
Gee, that's exactly what's going on with this front office. Exactly. They're too concerned about covering their tracks.
That's it.
And you're right think about the leaders that you've been under, whether it's in work or sports. You would rather go to war with a guy who makes an impulse decision and is willing to live with it, or what was key about that quote, find a way to make it work, than a guy who twiddles his thumbs until it's too late and the cavalry is upon you. What are you going to do at that point?
Well, there's nothing you could do about it. And right now, you've had the quote was I was just looking at it, and it just shows, if you apply it to this context, they had weeks. He got
almost 5 weeks.
He got hurt, and then they had games. They had
a bye.
They had a bye. Then they snuck a game that they weren't supposed to win against the 49ers, and they won it. If they would have had a decision and stopped telling me day to day, they could have also set him down from the time he got hurt all the way until maybe the Ravens game.
Without throwing a football.
At all.
And he would have, you could say, keep him for the Ravens game. He's got almost 8 weeks.
Yeah,
where
he, 2 months.
Between throwing a football, that's how this injury heals. From all the experts, everything that we've heard, it doesn't heal if you're working overhead, lifting anything, or throwing anything.
How many times have you went and got an MRI when nothing hurt, Jay?
Never. Why would you?
Why would you? When people say he's cleared to play, he's cleared. No one.
That's troubling to me. They
gets
cleared
an
this
MRI.
man to play 4 weeks ago.
Well,
He wasn't ready Sunday.
No.
And Jay, not even that, but you can take tagboard full. This is what Andrew Berry said 3 weeks ago today. Like today, except 3 weeks ago. We don't view it as a long-term injury. I think Kevin mentioned it earlier in the week. There's nothing structural. We're optimistic it'll heal in the short term, and he'll be ready to go.
Yeah, myth.
So what has happened
wrong.
here? So either people have been lying, or there's been a misdiagnosis. It's crazy.
You asked the pertinent question. What's happening?
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with the fan yesterday, and this is kind of I just sort of meandered to this conclusion. But here's my guess is what's going on. Berry knows he's in a sling. Stefanski knows he's in a sling. I think after they made the move to keep DTR as the number 2, if they didn't know it was a bad move at first, they knew it after he started against Baltimore.
Yep.
They saw it with their eyes just as we did. Oh, God, this kid's not ready. So now they realize we've made a grave miscalculation. Their butts are in the hot seats. So I think what they're doing is separate all the verbiage that's come from them and all of the verbiage that's come from Watson. You've got a team saying on multiple occasions he was cleared to play. He will play in 10 days from now. Structurally, there's nothing wrong. There is no pain.
Medically cleared.
Medically cleared.
Yeah.
Asked Sunday after the game, is he going to be your starter in Seattle? Now, he was saying as long as he's healthy, but yeah, he's my guy. Everything they have said has basically been like someone opening the door for someone to say, come on in. It's all been laying the groundwork for the fan base and the media.
Yep.
He's good to go.
Yep.
Now, you got Deshaun, who, by the way, is the only person qualified to say when he's ready to play.
Correct.
And you know what that is? When he has complete and full confidence of where he's throwing the ball and he's doing it pain-free. He is not to that point. We saw that Sunday. So I think you've got the player saying, I'm not in any hot seat. Nobody's coming after me.
Right.
My money's guaranteed. I'm not playing for a contract. Baker didn't have that luxury.
Facts.
Baker had to play. So you've got a player who's saying, no, when I'm ready and I'm good, I'll know it and I'll tell you and I'll play. You've got a coach and a general manager who probably believe that they're going to be in the unemployment line if they go with what they have now at quarterback for the rest of the season, because that's not going to be a playoff.
But they got to know that if he plays, he's not going to play well. We've already seen this movie before.
I know, but I think
it's worse because it's his throwing shoulder. He clearly couldn't play. Like, that was crazy. And Watson's going to want to play. Even this nonsense, and we'll get into the idiotic comments by Brady Quinn later, but like this nonsense about, well, he doesn't want to play. He was telling people that whole first week he was going to play because he wanted to play.
That is nonsense.
He wasn't ready to play this
Players
week, clearly,
want to play.
and he wanted to play. If he didn't want to play, why would he have been out there?
I agree with you 100%.
So that's ridiculous.
I'm sure he's got veto power here.
Of course.
If he wanted to say ahead of Sunday's game against the Colts, I'm not going to play, he could have.
Absolutely, because that's what happened against San Francisco.
I'd like to add a little addendum to that quote. Here's another difference between good leaders and bad leaders. Good leaders recognize when they have made a bad decision and immediately take action to undo it.
Yep.
Bad leaders double down on stupid. They double down on it. No, we're going to be good. You keep convincing yourself, no, Anthony Schwartz is a baller.
Right.
No, David Bell is a baller.
I think that Kevin Stefanski showed good leadership in realizing it was a mistake to play Deshaun Watson, and he pulled him out and said, you're out.
Well, yeah.
Now, Andrew Berry's got to show good leadership, and the front office, Dee Podesta, whoever the hell you want to blame, Jimmy Haslam, and they've got to go address the position there.
I can't believe they haven't yet.
It's crazy.
I can't believe it.
So when you trot Deshaun Watson out there, I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying. You got two people that are looking out for their jobs, and they're saying, okay, at least we can string this along. The more they string it along, the public sentiment seems to change. Because if you keep saying day-to-day, we'll figure it out, I had to take him out and protect him. What happens is the fan base starts to look at you and say, okay, well, they keep telling us you're ready to play, but you're just not playing. So now the onus goes on you to figure out why you can't play, or can you play. And
if you can't, go find someone that can.
And so right now, they got him on the bench. They got him sitting here. And every week that go by, what starts to happen is they're paving the groundwork for this. Well, look, Look at the you're going to start. You see, these coaches be leaking in
We
the
lost Chubb.
We lost Chubb.
Watson.
We lost Conklin. Look at the adversity we've been through. We didn't even get our franchise quarterback this year. He played one game. We thought we had him up and running.
The Bull's point that he always loves to make no excuses.
I don't want to hear
and
it.
Teams deal with that. You love analogies.
Mm-hmm.
This hit me yesterday. I'm going to give you an analogy of the Browns and their season. The football team is a high-powered race car. They've got a top-flight engine, the best engine money can buy. Let's call that the defense.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a couple of really nice, shiny tires in guys like Myles Garrett and Amari Cooper, guys that we would mostly say are either
anywhere.
the best at their position or certainly amongst the best at their position. They've got all these pieces, but before the season started, they went to the shop and they said, now, do we have all of the backup parts we're going to need? Because during a race, you don't know what you're going to throw. You might throw a brake drum. You might throw a chassis, whatever you're going to do. So a good team owner says, so the steering column is my quarterback. Are we good? And if I think we're good with that, but if we're not, let's order a backup steering column. So if on lap 27, we crack the steering column, we can bring them into the pits, put a new one in, get it back out on the track, and still have a chance. That's what a good team owner in NASCAR would do. They didn't do that. They sent their backup steering column away, and they had an unproven one that's never been tested sitting in the box. It was new, but I don't know. It hasn't been tested. No research has been done on it. We don't know. Let's go with this. And the steering column won't break. Then about a quarter of the way through the race, the driver comes in and he says, something's wrong, man. This car's shimmying. My steering column's got a crack. And the engineer looks under the hood. He's like, oh, my God, there's a crack in there. What are we going to do? You can't sit there and think about it. Well, get the car back out on the track. Well, that's the worst thing that can happen.
Yep.
Because if that steering column cracks, that
jeopardy.
car goes into the wall, and that beautiful engine that was the highest paid, best performing engine all year is gone. And those shiny tires, Myles Garrett and Amari Cooper, they're meaningless. Your car is crashed into the wall.
Yep.
The quarterback in this scenario is the steering column. You know it's cracked. You didn't have a backup. Get one now.
And here's the good thing,
to try
guys.
to save the race.
Here's the good thing, and it's a good analogy. It's dead on. And here's the great part. It's not too late. Because they have found ways to win these games,
right.
They're right there.
They're still in it.
But it's fool's gold, and we all know it.
It's
not sustainable.
It's not.
So
the
get
way
the steering column replaced.
Especially the way they won against Indy, is not sustainable. Right now, the only way they can win with any consistency is by playing lights-out defense. If they play mediocre defense even, they're going to lose most of their games with the quarterback play.
I would agree with
and
that.
let's be clear. There's a lot of, and I like to tell people, everybody thinks that their fan base is the most intelligent and most informed. But I'm going to be honest with you. Fans fall in love with the record. I've found over the years, just by even just talking about the team, that 4-2 record to most fans is more important than anything else that's going wrong inside the organization.
As I say, it hides the warts.
It hides it.
Right.
That's just why a lot of people, they go to a doctor. The doctor tells them, man, I'm sorry, Joe, but right now you got stage 3 or stage 4 cancer. And I was like, hold on, I feel fine though. I feel great. They're like, well, no, let me just show you.
Fool's gold, it's coming.
It is coming. You got 6 months to, and that's why people have a hard time coming to grips with it, because there's no symptoms. There's no, hey, at least when I get sick, I could go and I got a fever and a temperature, and I can, take medicine. Some illnesses hit you like this and you go on the next week.
But our fan base is not used to winning.
They're not.
Any taste of winning
is
exciting, right?
It's intoxicating.
And
I love that
get
we're
it.
4-2.
And it's great that they're 4-2. If they were 2-4, they'd have the same problems. But we'd be like, well, they're screwed.
And let's face it, we're a questionable penalty and a missed field goal away from being 2-4.
And so exactly, we kind of like this. So the doctor tells you, you know what, we did catch it early enough, right?
Yeah.
But since you don't have any symptoms, he tries to give you medicine. He says, take this medicine, you'll get better, and we caught it in time. You say to him, oh, well, listen, man, I don't feel any symptoms. I'm not taking the medicine because you got that 4-2.
Right.
See, they don't want to take that medicine and say, hey, let's go ahead and get this quarterback so we can heal this up right now.
Right.
If you wait, you're going to lose the next 2 games. You get in another situation where you don't have the leeway to save your season.
You know what happens when you sweep problems under the rug? You don't see them in the short term, but it's only going to be a matter of time before you trip over whatever that is.
Eventually it becomes mold.
Yes. Black mold.
And it can be deadly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, guys, all of this, here's what's stunning to me.
Yeah.
All of this is conventional wisdom. None of it is hyperbole. It's all fact-based. It's all common sense. How is it that this organization didn't get a real backup quarterback in here on the Monday following the injury?
I have no idea.
It's inexplicable.
It's already too late for this week. Like, even if you brought in Jacoby Brissett now, he probably couldn't play.
No.
I mean, I guess he could in theory.
Look,
but
I mean, according to Adam Schefter, when I was talking to him about it, he's like, that's not in the plans right now. Now, he's getting that from somewhere.
Maybe the plans change. I hope so.
Well, he
but,
said
yeah.
that may change as the season plays out. We'll see. And that's entirely possible. But why wait until week 7 or 8?
I wish I could ask Andrew Berry that question. Like, right now,
It's
what are you
mind-boggling.
thinking?
I think your quote is so powerful, and here's why. I think they're afraid of the consequences of a bad decision. And that's a bad leader.
But Andrew Berry's always been aggressive. He's been a pretty aggressive GM in terms of
He's
trades.
been very aggressive.
I think the way they handled the kicker thing, I applaud them a million times over. Not just because the way it worked out, because our eyes told us what they had wasn't good enough. We have to see something else.
Right.
And now look, not only did they appropriately make that decision, which was tough, he was a high draft pick for a kicker, they appropriately and on the right time frame made that decision. He didn't stay at the party too long. He didn't cost us a regular season game. They made a decision, you're out. They did their due diligence on those that were available, came up kind of with a sleeper pick, and this guy has literally been the best kicker in the NFL this year. And so kudos to you. Andrew Berry, front office, you assessed a problem and you presented a workable solution. Now look, you're watching the same thing unfold in real time. We're seeing it. All the fans are seeing it. The metrics, if you want to lean heavily on analytics, tell you that this team's quarterback play is ranked 32nd.
And it's not even
Make a move.
It's not even like P.J. Walker has any kind of track record of playing excellent football. He has no track record. His only track record is outside of one game is playing quarterback.
And here's how you know they they need a quarterback. He has not been added to the 53-man roster permanently.
I think he finally did.
They finally added him.
I don't know if I don't know that they made. It's been reported. It hasn't been. I don't know that it's official yet. But yeah,
they can't do that one more. They can't do that anymore.
They could do it one more. They could have done it one more time.
This
is the
You're
third.
allowed to do it 3 times, and then you'd have to add them after.
Right. So this would be the last time that they could actually put him on the practice squad and bring him back up.
Yes.
So you got to make a decision now.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
right now he's your
But
option.
that's the point. Yeah.
But
you weren't even worried about losing him.
No, you weren't.
You weren't.
At this point, I'm stunned that they haven't reached the conclusion that all of us have and that most fans have, is that this ain't it.
No.
We've got to move on something. And look, I understand the argument that, well, trading for a guy is next to impossible. I get that. There are the options available that we talked about, and you hit it right on the head to start the show. Nick Foles is not a great quarterback, or he'd be on a roster.
Right.
And, the same thing can be said for Carson Wentz.
Right.
But they're better than what we have.
Right. I'd take those guys. I don't love either of those guys.
I would too right
I'd take
now.
them. I'd rather get Brissett or Dalton because they've been with teams. They've been playing.
Sure. Yeah.
They both play. Oh, Brissett hasn't played, but Dalton has played a game this year. But do something.
Yeah.
You can't stand pat.
Inaction is not an action.
No.
And it's not excusable. And
No,
if
not
they're,
at all.
I just don't know how it's
This
going to work
team
out for
can
them.
win a bunch of games with average quarterback play.
I know.
We'll see.
And very few teams, by the way, can say that.
That's right. And who knows? If you get decent quarterback play, maybe you can bring Watson back in December. Maybe you can. And by then he feels all right, and maybe you can make a run in the playoffs.
What's funny
but don't
is
give up on it.
Not that long ago, Carson Wentz was 11-2.
Yep.
And Nick Foles came in and saved the season and took him to a Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
Aggressive.
Like, these guys have a track record.
Foles makes me nervous because he's only played well in Philly. Everywhere else he's gone, he's been terrible.
I know.
I don't know what it is.
It's a stretch.
Yeah.
But I've seen enough from what we have to know that
Anybody.
it ain't it.
Anybody.
Yes. Okay, Mikey.
We're going to talk about a little Twitter beefs in a second about a different average quarterback in 1 sec. Before we do that, I got to remind everybody that at 12:30 to 1 on Fridays, we leave YouTube. Head over to WKYC. That's Channel 3 on the big screen. If you're not in Cleveland, you can download WKYC Plus app or the WKYC app on a mobile device and watch 30 minutes of brand new Browns Seahawks preview content that'll get you ready for everything you need to know on Sunday. That is 12:30 to 1 on WKYC.
Show's catching fire. It's taking off.
It is.
Yes, it is.
And we thank the fans for that because we know that you've been loyal. At 12:30 when the YouTube show ends, you have gone over to watch us on Channel 3.
Crazy.
The metrics show it, and we appreciate your allegiance for sure.
Jay, before we get into next, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Did you have former Browns quarterback beefing with current Browns quarterback
No.
QB coach on Twitter on your 2023 bingo card?
Who's got all these bingo cards? What we talking
No,
about?
but by the way, how did I not have that? I mean, it's always the craziest and most wild things that happen to this franchise.
True.
But that's exactly
you should have known
what
that was
we're talking
coming.
about. I should have known it was coming. Well, how do you want to start? Do you want to start with the original? Do we play
Yeah, we
a
have
clip
it, and we're
from
going to play
Brady
a little
Quinn or no?
snippet of what Brady Quinn
Okay,
said.
I think that's fair.
And to give everyone context, Brady Quinn hosts or is a co-host with LeVar Arrington and someone else on a Fox Sports show.
Right.
The topic of Deshaun Watson came up yesterday. Deshaun Watson's quarterback coach, Quincy Avery, responded, but here is initially what Brady Quinn said, at least a snippet of it. We're not going to play the full 4-minute clip. You can find that on our Twitter page if you want. But a little snippet of what Brady Quinn said that then led to an argument online. And you can play it.
He's actually the one that's basically reporting on his health to the media, which I
'cause
find to
everyone
be
else-
peculiar.
Everyone else's the medical opinion just clears him pretty much. I mean, it's like, well, it's kind of similar to this. You get a kid who gets a trust fund, right? $230 million. Then he's like, hey, you want to go out and get a job? He's like, not really.
No.
I've got $230 million coming. I'm good. That's what it kind of feels like. Like it's human nature, by the way, too. For if you won the lotto and you end up netting $230 million, because we always talk about the Powerball and all that, like you'd probably be like, yeah, I'm good. I'm probably not. I'm probably not going to do this anymore, right?
So you're saying
It went on. It went on for about 4 minutes. I think that the original line that certainly ruffled the feathers of Quincy was that he's basically the one that's reporting on his injury. Everybody else in the medical community says he's cleared to play. Guys, I think that goes back to what I think are competing factions here. The Browns and their management need him on the field to keep their jobs. And Brady Quinn got one thing right. There's no urgency for Deshaun Watson to do it. Now, to make the leap of faith that he's just not doing it because he doesn't want to do it, that is where I thought it was a personal character assassination, and that was unfair.
Well, and it's factual.
Well, before you go, do you want to go through the whole exchange real quick so everyone has the full context?
Yeah, go
before
ahead.
we dive in?
Quincy Avery is Deshaun Watson's personal quarterback's coach.
Yes. So
He works with other quarterbacks, too.
He does.
He runs the QB Academy. After that initial quote, Quincy then quote tweeted that exact clip, and I'm going to bleep out the curse word here, but you can take it full. He said, Brady, I'm going to be real. You don't know what the F you're talking about, and sit behind our microphone gossiping like a little high school chick. Then they went on a little back and forth. Anthony, you can take that whenever you're ready here. Brady said, come anytime you want to talk in person, open invitation. Quincy said, I just seen you Saturday. I don't have anything I want to talk to you about. I'm telling you, you are talking about things you don't know. Talking on another man who doesn't know you is weak. Brady Quinn said, well, I didn't see you. Quincy then responded, what's the point? To which then Brady dropped this. How about we massage this conversation and get it to a happy ending? Does that sound satisfactory?
Yeah, that's the nuclear
Which led to
option.
Quincy's final response in this exchange, which was, this the joke you was dying to let fly? We can table the convo until I see you in person. That is the full context of the exchange. Now, you guys can take it.
I thought it was, when you sent it yesterday, I thought that's not real. Someone doctored that.
At first, I thought the last tweet was probably like a fake Brady Quinn account trying to make it look like it was him, but it was him.
It was him.
Yeah.
He really went there.
Yeah.
It devolved quickly because
Yes.
if you go through the timeline, the first salvo, and this is his job, we take shots at guys all the time.
Yeah.
That's what we're paid to do, is tell it how we see it. I get that. You can make the argument, though, that Brady did get personal when he called him a trust fund kid.
Yeah.
That is a character assassination. That's a negative connotation.
Yes.
From there, it escalated to you're a high school chick, and then Brady just went full-on nuclear with the let's massage this conversation to a happy ending.
Yeah.
Like, I was stunned that two grown adults who really should know better than to do this, actually did this.
I'm not stunned. We've seen a lot of grown adults.
I know
do a
we
lot of
have.
stupid
I
stuff.
know we have. But I would tell Quincy this: you're accomplished at what you've done, bro. You're a professional, and you've got real cred. I say this about players all the time, and he kind of goes into that boat. Just tune out that nonsense. People are going to take shots. It's just inevitable. It doesn't. You don't have to respond to it and come down to that level. Just let it go, and just coach up your quarterback to go out one day and have a great game. And then if you want to say, we'll prove Brady Quinn wrong. Let your job, your professionalism, and your guys' performance handle that.
Gee, I know you disagree.
Well, the first thing, there's a lot of semantics involved. The first thing is, I don't agree, and this is a fraternity when it comes to players and other players. You know, the NFL players go through a lot of different things.
That's why it shocked me, G.
Yeah, they go through a lot.
That's why it shocked me.
There's a lot of people who get injured and are trying to fight to get back on the field. There's a lot of people that are permanently injured when you play this game of football. And so I find it very ironic that as a member that played in that elite fraternity, that you would go to that level as to insinuate that this man was just faking it for the money. Now, everybody, you've been in the locker room.
That's a character assassination.
That's saying that you not honest. That's saying that you weak. That's saying that you lazy. That's saying that you don't care about your teammates. That's it. Like, you don't get to that level by being lazy. You don't get to that level to do that. So I felt like you commenting on another player, especially at the quarterback position, is egregious. Find me where Peyton Manning is going out criticizing Tom Brady. Find Tom Brady going out criticizing Joe Brees. It just doesn't happen. So I didn't like that part. The second part I didn't like, and I was upset about, that, when I heard it, is he's talking about it being a trust fund baby. Now, let's be clear. If you don't know what Deshaun Watson's upbringing is, his mother raised 4 children, a single parent, multiple jobs, and she had to do that all while fighting tongue cancer. She had to have her tongue removed because she had cancer, and she still went to work on them 2 jobs, raised her 4 kids by herself, and they came from a poor rural area. And you talk about trust fund? See, my problem is you just looking at the 230. And here's how I know you got a little bit of jealousy in that. You said 230 as in referencing Powerball.
Right. Yep.
He thinks Deshaun Watson hit the Powerball. To him, it's so much money. I looked up his contract. When he played for the Browns, he made about $9 million. That's life-changing money to some people.
He stole $9 million.
And that's the third thing. Brady Quinn, when was you an Iron Man? I'm confused, Brady. You went through injuries. You missed the 2008 season with a fractured pinky finger. Now, guess what? Nobody in the media was like, oh, we're going to make fun of the fact your pinky hurts. No one did that. We took it for what it was. You got back on the field the next year. It didn't work out in Cleveland. At the end of the day, I have a problem with people that look at a stack of money and then they feel like they could just talk about certain things because they wish they had that bag. To be truthful, I don't understand where we all are as men. Where I came from, you want to see every single man be able to take care of his family. Listen, we laugh at Jay all the time because we be like, oh, Jay got the huge bag. Jay worked his ass off to get there. He put that work in. I'm not going to insinuate that this man got here just by osmosis. And I want everybody to produce and go to the next level and be able to take care of their children. You don't think Deshaun Watson and that $230 million ain't taking care of numerous people? Yes, it's taking care of those people. My thing is this, and about the massage thing, and we'll get to the last one because I don't want to be long-winded. You better than that, Brady Quinn. You got a wife and daughters.
I think so too.
You better than that. And here's what I'm going to say. If you really, a lot of people believe in coming out against sexual assault members and people who have been sexually assaulted, and you was upset at Deshaun Watson because of the allegations. I'm starting to rethink that, because if you were so thrown back by the allegations and you don't like him, why would you then put this message out that in a way makes light of sexual assault? How about this, right? You got mothers, you got fathers, you got daughters. What if that was one of your kids that came out and said they alleged that? And I'm putting up tweets talking about ha ha ha. If that's the first thing you wanting to talk about is the joke that everybody seems to be wanting to talk about, how much do you care about sexual assault because you're making light of it in your tweets and you couldn't wait to say it? So my thing is this: I've been talking a long time, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to say nothing, and I've caught myself sometimes when you critiquing people. When you critique somebody, talk about what they do on the field. Talk about their play. But don't talk about nobody's character. Don't talk about nobody's family, and leave that off because people be wanting to really come see you about that stuff. And he's better than that anyway. He should know that.
I agree with the part that he's better than that. I think he's very good at his job. Brady Quinn is very good at his job, and I'm not alone in that feeling. There are a lot of television executives that think he is, and I just thought that was below him to go there.
This is fascinating, guys. And this tells you Brady Quinn is exposed. He's exposed here. This is huge, Steve Bush. Last year, after I don't know if it was a Monday night game, I think it was Monday, I don't know, it doesn't matter. It was a night game last year. Zach Wilson was playing for the Jets. Zach Wilson played a terrible game. Booger McFarland, who we all know is an analyst, also on ESPN, made a comment. You folks may remember that after this game, Zach Wilson said he didn't feel he played a terrible game in this game, and he said he didn't feel as though he let the Jets let down the Jets defense after scoring just 3 points against New England. So he played terribly. The Jets only scored 3 points, and he didn't take any blame for himself publicly. Something Deshaun Watson, it wasn't like Deshaun Watson said, well, we're losing because of somebody else. He's never said
I
anything
remember
like
that comment.
Remember that? Zach Wilson
He
did
took
that.
a lot of heat for it.
Yes. And one of the guys that gave him heat was Booger McFarland. And one of the things Booger McFarland said was he hasn't accepted accountability for his play because, quote, he grew up with a lot of money. Kind of similar to what Brady Quinn said. And people were critical, rightly so, of Booger McFarland for bringing up Zach Wilson growing up with a lot of money. We'd all agree with that, right?
I think that's an unfair comment.
One of the people who was critical of Booger McFarland bringing up Zach Wilson's money, Brady Quinn.
Yeah.
Brady Quinn said, quote, about Zach McFarland, talking about Zach Wilson
Booger McFarland.
bringing up his money, Booger McFarland.
Yeah.
Brady Quinn said, quote, the entire argument is so stupid. It was one of the dumbest things I've heard on air. And that's saying something because Booger was on Monday Night Football and he said a lot of dumb stuff during that period of time.
Wow.
So last year, Brady Quinn said, Booger McFarland said one of the dumbest things ever for saying Zach Wilson is basically the same thing that Brady Quinn called Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. I think the difference is Booger's comment was he's soft because of his upbringing. He didn't have to work hard for anything. And Brady came from means. I'm not sure that his family was wealthy, but he certainly lived a more privileged life than some that follow that path.
Yes.
And I think he may have looked at Booger's comments as an attack on anybody who's come through the ranks of college and into the NFL if they weren't hungry on the street.
So then what? Well, and that's a fair criticism.
And I'm not making an excuse for that.
No, I know, but that is actually a more reasonable criticism that a guy who grew up with money is less likely to be hungry for money.
I would totally agree with that because Deshaun earned his.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so for Brady Quinn just a year ago to say it's stupid for Booger McFarland to bring up where his money came from, and then Brady Quinn did the exact same thing.
Essentially,
and I said, well, he's a trust fund kid.
Yeah.
Well, when somebody else called Zach Wilson a trust fund kid, a much worse and less accomplished quarterback than Deshaun Watson, who was not dealing with an injury last year. He just wasn't any good.
Yeah.
He had a problem with it. But he had no problem saying the same thing about a more proven quarterback who's injured.
And earned his money.
Yes.
He's earned his money.
I wonder why.
And you know why? It comes back to $230 million.
Yeah, that people have a big problem with that.
Because it is such an for so many people. That's so much money, even to really rich people, that they automatically inside of they just chest and their heart, they have to, it just, 230, and it just kind of hits you, and you jump back a little bit.
And it's the highest, too. And I think that's the distinction.
And so my thing was, when I look at Brady Quinn, and here's another thing. This ain't the first time he's been out of pocket. This guy was the same dude that came on air before the draft and said C.J. Stroud was falling in the draft because he didn't go to the Manning camp. He said he ghosted him. Yeah, and C.J. ghosted. The Mannings are royalty, and you just can't do that, or you're gonna fall down.
You got to kiss the ring.
And you know what? Ryan Clark said this. Shout out to Ryan Clark for doing the homework. He said, "Oh no. See, I went and I talked to C.J. Stroud and the Mannings, and that's unequivocally false. He never said he was gonna go to that camp. He wasn't getting paid to come do it, and he never committed to doing that. So you saying that 2 to 3 weeks before somebody's biggest day of their life? How many times have we seen people throw comments out there and tank people's draft stock? He should understand that, because he was a guy
who fell. Yeah.
You were a guy that fell to
famously fell.
Famously fell. So why would you do that? And you know good and well how it feels to be on that side of the table.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like it.
I like to find solutions. I hate when guys are going at it. It makes me uncomfortable. I know it's part of the world, but I think the world would be a better place if people got together and discussed their disagreements face to face instead of firing bombs and weapons and guns. And in this position, I'm not equating this to war, but you can see how things escalated, and now they're throwing nuclear haymakers. This is what I would have rather seen. I wish that when Quincy saw that, I understand why he would be upset, because he knows Deshaun. He knows what this guy's character is, and somebody just attacked his partner and friend. I get that. What I would have done was I would have sent him a message and said, hey, hit me up on DM. I would have got his digits. I would have called him and said, look, in my view, you don't know the whole story. I want to facilitate it so you know the whole story. Here's Deshaun's number. He's free at 7 o'clock tonight. I think you guys should have a talk. And don't come at him with knives. And I've told Deshaun, you guys should talk this out so you have a better understanding of what he's going through. Because let's face it, we're guilty of the same thing. A lot of times we're out here lobbing bombs and we don't know. There's things we don't know. We only know what either the player or the team tells us. There's so much there's more that we don't know than we know. But we're paid to opine. That's what we do. We give our thoughts. I wish that Quincy would handle things more like that. Quincy's got an edge to him. If he was working for a team, the first thing the team would tell him, those days are over. You're not Twitter beefing with crazy fans or media members. We don't do that. I think Quincy's above that. I really do. This man is accomplished. What he's done is incredible.
He was working with one of the best. He working with some of the best 32 in the year in the world.
Look at his stable.
Yeah.
Like, this guy is accomplished at what he does. He's good. And Brady knows that. And Brady has worked his way into a very prominent position in the media. He's good too. There's no reason these two should lower themselves to the gutter to throw public jabs at one another when they're not fully informed. Now, if Brady calls Deshaun, has a 45-minute conversation with him, you know what happens the next day on the air? Because what's happening on today's show is he's throwing nuclear bombs at Deshaun Watson and Quincy, both of them. You diffuse all that, and I love this saying, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. You call Quincy, they have a 45-minute conversation. You know how today's show starts? Brady saying, I'm going to start today's show with an apology. I went off yesterday, and it was a little misguided. I didn't have all the facts. I only had what the media has been sharing with us, and I was dead wrong. And I had a conversation with Deshaun Watson yesterday, and I now have all the facts. So now you should listen to what I say. This man's not stealing anybody's money. This man wants to be on the football field. Bring those two together and turn it into a positive instead of where we are now.
In the end,
no one looks good today.
Yes, that would have been the best case scenario. I understand why Quincy Avery got upset. I don't really if I were him, I probably wouldn't have done it that way, but I'm kind of...
No, I know you wouldn't
I
have.
fly off the seat of my pants, so maybe I would have. But
Do you agree that would be a better outcome?
Yes, it would. I still don't think he said anything. He didn't say, like, Brady Quinn clearly crossed the line multiple times.
I agree.
In his comments.
I
like,
agree.
we've been critical of players. I've probably crossed the line a time or two, but I've never accused a player of pretending to be injured, ever.
Something
and for
for
a former player, and he's the second one because
Hanford
Dixon did
know.
it.
I love Hanford Dixon, but I hate that he said that. I hate it.
And I kind of get his story all the time, man. And sometimes you don't even come back from this. One of the most hurtful things that you can have is when you have a bunch of injuries and you're trying to get back on the field, and you've been gone for so long, what happens is you become alienated from the team because you're just working to get back. You're not practicing. You got to stay after. You're not seeing the guys. And when somebody insinuates, either on your team or in the media, insinuates that you don't want to play and you're faking it, it goes to, like, I've had that happen before. And I'm sitting here telling people, like, why would I want to go to college? I need to get a scholarship. I ain't going to college if I'm not doing it this way. Why would I say I don't want to play? That's the most hurtful thing you can say to a player, because don't you understand that people be giving they body, like, people get hurt and their bodies are done the rest of their lives.
It's happened.
And so why would you get in somebody's head and say, oh, well, I'm going to use my head rationality to prove that I don't think you tough enough to play. And by the way, which is it, people? Which is it? And I know you don't want to talk about Baker Mayfield, but which is it? Because when Baker Mayfield went out there and he was hurt, everybody said he should have sat. Everybody said he should have sat. Everybody. Now you said, well, at least he had guts to go out there and play terribly. Now you want Deshaun Watson to do the same.
Make the same mistake.
Which is it? And fans, we get it. They only care about the results and they only care about what's going on in the field. But media members have to be a little more cognizant, especially the ones that play.
I agree. I hate to see it. Hopefully they settle things out and everybody gets on the same page. Mikey?
We'll get right back to this in literally 1 second, but we're doing a rare afternoon edition of Behind the Glass today. Myself, Anthony, and Earl going around 3:15, 3:30 to avoid interfering with the Cavs game. The Cavs open tonight against the Nets. So we're an afternoon Behind the Glass. Make sure you guys tap in, check it out. We'll see you guys this afternoon.
By the way, you said literally 1 second. I would say that was closer to 20 seconds, Mike.
I apologize. I do have one
literally
question for you guys about the Quincy Avery, Brady Quinn situation here. It feels like there is a players' fraternity. And this is, to me, where I think Brady Quinn kind of crossed the line. It's one thing for people without any idea what it takes to be in that position, to take a shot, because you've never been in those shoes.
Yes.
Brady Quinn's been in those exact shoes. And that's, to me, that's where I have the biggest issue. It feels like a line in the sand that shouldn't be crossed for players of a certain people of a certain stature, and especially quarterbacks that have played in the same franchise.
I completely
To me, that's the biggest
It's
issue.
tricky because we want the former players in the media to be honest and be open.
Right.
And Brady Quinn is not afraid to criticize, and that's
No.
good.
Yeah, it
but
is.
you got to be fair about your criticism.
And that's it, Bull.
Yeah.
Like, I want fair criticism.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. Before you criticize, you do have to make sure that you have a pretty good understanding of where things stand. And I just don't think that all Brady's hearing is what we're hearing, and we're confused.
Right.
And we're immersed in it. We're in the epicenter of that
Yeah.
universe.
Yes.
We hear every little morsel and nugget of news. Brady's hearing the stuff that trickles up to the national level.
Right, yeah.
So he's hearing a fraction of what we're hearing, and we sit here every day and we say, what is the truth?
If he would have gone on there and been, man, this Deshaun Watson thing's been a disaster. He's been terrible so far in Cleveland. I don't know how they're winning right now. They got to get a quarterback. He can't help them.
That's fair.
That's all completely fair.
But when you question a man, I agree with you, G. It's the players' fraternity thing. But when you insinuate that a man is faking an injury, that is a character assassination that cannot be undone.
It just don't, like, that's like one of y'all being sick. And I come on the show, oh, man, Bull ain't sick. I don't know what Bull got going on today.
Yeah. How do you know? Yeah, we don't know.
What? That man might be on his deathbed.
Yeah,
you don't know how. What are you talking about? And my thing with Brady Quinn, you go back to 2008 and you look at Brady Quinn, I would respect his opinion as an analyst. And sometimes I even have to learn this. You don't have to have hot takes. Just give me perspective. Bernie came up here and gave us perspective on what it's like to have a rotator cuff. Brady Quinn in 2008 was under kind of the same microscope. They needed to make a decision on whether it was Derek Anderson, who had a great year in 07,
right,
or whether they're going to get a range to Brady Quinn, who was a first-round pick. Derek Anderson eventually lost his job. Brady Quinn came in. However, it was at the end of the season, so Brady Quinn had some up games, some down games. Actually, it kind of looked like the first 3 games that Deshaun Watson played this year. Had a really good game. He had a so-so game, and the team won. He had a horrible game, and the team got smashed. And then there was another game where it was like, oh, he played his best game. After that happened, he ends up fracturing his finger. He fractures his finger, and he continues to try to play through it. He tried to play through it. He says, and this is in Cleveland.com, you can go check it out. He tried to play through it, and it gets worse. So then the fracture turns into he needs to get surgery on a ligament in his throwing hand, in his finger. Now, on the outside looking it in, people will say, how tough is a finger injury? Like, people make fun of stuff like that.
Right. Split it up. Go play.
Well, it's critical.
Yeah. It's critical.
Critical.
So I would have enjoyed Brady Quinn saying, hey, let me give you a story.
Yeah.
This thing happened to me. And I was in that same situation, and this is what I was going through because I needed to make a decision. The organization wanted to make a decision on whether I was good enough and didn't have enough information. They go into that season, and then you come back, and it's a quarterback competition in 2009. Eventually, it spirals out of the control. Derek Anderson didn't play well. Brady Quinn did play well. And eventually, Brady Quinn was jettisoned to the Chiefs. But the long story short is I would have enjoyed hearing your insight on that, the rationale, the pressure, the mood you were in, the thought process when you're hurt and you're trying to prove yourself. I would have liked to hear that.
And, G, to your point on being hurt or not, we've reached the point in this whole saga where we have legitimate national NFL reporters. Steve, you can take the tag board full here. But guys having to clarify that it's a real injury.
Oh,
I mean, Tom Pelissero tweeted yesterday, and this is a direct quote from Tom Pelissero, as you can see. As mentioned here, Deshaun Watson has a strain of his subscapularis muscle, which causes pain and weakness in the rotator cuff. Quote, it's a real injury that takes time to heal, as if people didn't believe this man was actually hurt.
And by the way,
and it doesn't go away. I mean, it's one of those.
It's the first time I've ever seen an
Think
injury.
about this again, guys.
Someone say it's a real injury.
He's got an injury to his throwing shoulder, okay? The first week after it happened, it happened in the Titans game. He didn't leave the game.
Right.
If he was all about, I don't care about playing, he would have left the game.
Sure.
They were winning. He could have left the game. Number 2, the following week, even though it looked all week like he wasn't going to play against Baltimore, on all week he's telling everybody.
Well, on Friday he said, "I'm good.
I'm going to play."
Yes.
If he didn't want to play because he's got all this money, why would he have said that?
He would have
made
tapped out right
himself
then.
look worse.
Yes, you're
by
right.
saying that. So that makes no sense. He wanted to play and couldn't. Okay. The next game against San Francisco, he couldn't go. Then this week, it was 100% obvious to anybody with a brain that he was incapable of throwing the ball like he wanted to. And it had been reported that not by him, but by Schefter and whoever, that this is a 4 to 6 week injury at least. Bernie Kosar told us last week that doesn't heal right away. It takes a while for it to heal. And yet, he put himself out there. He looked terrible in those 5 passes, so people like us can crap on him again because he didn't play well.
Never should have been out there.
And he shouldn't have been out there. And meanwhile, this knucklehead is accusing him he doesn't want to play. That's ridiculous.
I think that they have to have a conversation. I think that Deshaun needs to have a conversation with Brady, and not I'm going to kick your ass conversation. Just an enlightening conversation. Let me enlighten you on things you don't know that might change your mind, because of all people, you've been where I'm standing, in the same spot with the same franchise.
With the same crazy fan base.
Right. And by the way, if you do compare the injuries, on the uninformed fan scale, the pinky rates way below the throwing shoulder.
Damn right.
I mean, now look, I'm not saying that all pinky injuries are less severe than a shoulder injury, but to the uninformed mind and people that we don't know exactly all the details, we're like, come on, you're right. It's your pinky. Sack up and go throw the ball.
Yeah. And I think it's a travesty. Think about this. Deshaun Watson, instead of having his general manager and his coach be on messaging, he has to depend on Tom Pelissero to come out and say this is actually a thing and tamp down some of these fires.
Why
can't
the team doing
Stefanski do that?
Why
It's
isn't
weird.
the team doing that?
Why can't
Because
Barry
you know
say
what?
that?
Here's unfortunately, and I'm reading
That's
into
crazy.
body language, and that can be bad. I did that when I initially said it looked like Stefanski was hot when he walked away from the conversation.
Right.
Maybe he was, because all this time he does think he should play. And I hope I'm not making another mistake, but to me, it almost feels like I saw Deshaun Watson on the sideline by himself too much last week. Why are his teammates not coming to him? And why is he, do the teammates now think that this guy should be playing because what the team is saying about him to the media?
Yeah,
I don't think the front office and the head coach have done him any favors with his teammates, the media, or the fan base.
No, they've botched
this is a serious injury. I've had the same injury. When touched, it feels like someone's sticking a screwdriver in you. I don't know exactly that we had exactly the same grade of it. It is a real thing. A real injury.
If Bernie Kosar played quarterback for the Browns, had the exact same injury, and yes, he played, but he told you it was a mistake. It got worse. They lost. He said it. He lives with regret to this day, 30 plus years later, because in that last playoff game, he made bad throws because he didn't have the oomph in his shoulder to make the throws.
That's it.
We're going to bring in our next guest. It'll be Corbin Smith of the Locked On Seahawks podcast. Before I do that, the good people in the world need to know that FanDuel is not only America's #1 sportsbook, it is the only sportsbook, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Right now, brand new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a simple $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose, by placing a $5 bet. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action than right now. The app is so easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. You can also bet on NBA action, NHL action, the World Series. If you can think of it, FanDuel's got odds for it. Check them out at FanDuel.com/UCSS. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL and an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And with that, we welcome in Corbin Smith of the Locked On Seahawks podcast. Corbin, how you doing this morning, my man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Look at that, the Doug Baldwin jersey.
Yeah, the highlighter.
I love it. So we, pay attention to all the teams in the NFL, obviously. The Seahawks, I'll give you my thumbnail assessment of this team. I think they've got good quarterback play. I think their defense is sensational. And I think most of the fan base nationally may have underrated just how good this team is. Am I close?
I think that you are on the precipice of what this team can be. I don't think they've played up to their potential to this point, and a lot of it has to do with the red zone issues they've had on offense. I think they're really close. I've been saying this all week. It feels like more so than the Bengals game, coming out of that game, that this offense is really close to popping. I mean, Geno Smith completed 75% of his passes against the Cardinals last weekend, and he made some really impressive throws in that game. But 2 weeks in a row, he's had some knucklehead decisions making interceptions in the red zone, which we didn't see from him last year most of the season, and he knows he can't do that. So it's little things like that that are holding them back right now. But they've had 5 different offensive lines starting in front of Geno Smith, and they've still been able to have a top 10 scoring offense. So it feels like this team is just on the cusp of finally figuring things out. And with all the weapons that they've got, even without DK Metcalf, I mean, Jake Bobo last week had a touchdown, and he's been a revelation.
I'm still not sure he was inbounds.
Yeah, that was awfully close, man. His foot looked like it could have been touching a little bit of the white there, but it was a great catch. You're right.
Yeah. But, what's interesting, I watched that whole I watched some of the Cardinals Seahawks. I watched all of the Bengals Seahawks. And, you talk about the Bengals – the Seahawks were moving the ball the whole game with ease to the 20, and then it was like they couldn't protect Geno in the red zone. He was getting killed in the red zone almost every time. Like they had that. Obviously, that first drive was great. They went right into the end zone, but they could not get it in after that. You talked about all the changes on the offensive line. Where are they on the offensive line right now? Because obviously the Browns got a lot better pass rush than the Cardinals do.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. The pass protection last week was fantastic.
Yeah.
Geno Smith didn't take a single hit in that game, that, at least in my opinion, that was responsible for the offensive line. He had one play he got sacked where it was on a bootleg, and Zaven Collins read the play immediately. There was nothing the offensive line could do there. It was just the structure of the play. But the pass protection was fantastic last week. But they're not going to have Abe Lucas back this week. I don't know when he's going to be back, but there's a good chance that they will have both their starting center and their right guard, Evan Brown and Phil Haynes, back this week. If not, they've been happy with the play they've gotten from the rookies, Olu Oluwatimi and Anthony Bradford. Both those guys have played really well in their first NFL action. So it's weird saying this with how bad offensive lines have been in Seattle. You would think in the past with their history, if they had the injuries they've had this year, you'd be thinking Geno Smith is not even going to be out on the field. And they have found ways to make it work. This is the best depth that they've had up there in the entire Pete Carroll era. So that's the positive. The negative is there's a chance that they're going to have multiple backups still out there against Cleveland's defensive line. And we saw what Cincinnati was able to do a few weeks ago. And as you mentioned, Geno, everybody, there's a lot of fans saying, why not put Drew Lock in there? It's like, why are you blaming Geno Smith for this? Geno Smith had less than 1.5 seconds on most of these plays to throw the football in the red zone. He had no fighting chance. When he's had time to throw, he's been just as good, if not better, than last year. It's just been difficult with the offensive line injuries they've had.
Hey, I'll tell you, Seattle is I've been to Seattle twice in my life. I've had a great time both times I've been there. I don't know if you actually live in Seattle, Corbin. Do you? Do you live in Seattle or in?
Not currently, but I've lived there for several years of my life.
Okay,
so.
It's a great city, but I'm guessing, marijuana's legal in Washington, so maybe those people talking with Drew Lock are all stoned. That's the only thing I can imagine. But
Geno's been great.
Specifically on Geno. The Geno story is one of the most amazing stories in the NFL.
Right.
And it got talked about a lot last year. And, he hasn't been quite as good this year, but he's still been good. But even at the end of 2021, when he played a little bit there, he played well. Like, this guy was terrible for a decade whenever he played, and he comes to Seattle, and he's a completely different quarterback. He's not a superstar, but he's a perfectly good quarterback in the NFL. Like, he's top half. He's somewhere probably between 10 and 15. It's amazing because he was not even – you never thought he would ever be any good. You rarely see a story like this where a guy stinks for a decade – and now he's a pretty good quarterback. How do you explain this?
I think the talent was always there, but look at the track record for the New York Jets developing quarterbacks. Sometimes there's just organizations that don't know how to develop QBs, and Geno,
We know what you're talking about.
I think his confidence was hurting a lot coming out of New York. He'll not admit that, but I think that his confidence was completely shot, and leave it to Pete Carroll to be the one. Pete Carroll is a defensive coach, but coming out of this Russell Wilson trade, seeing the way that Wilson's played in Denver, how things have gone for the Broncos, at some point you have to look at the long-term track record. Pete Carroll almost won a national championship at USC with John David Booty as the quarterback. This guy knows how to put together an offense that is going to be successful regardless of who the quarterback is. I am confident that if Drew Lock had to play a handful of games, that the Seahawks offense could be functional and do a good job because he just has such a long track record of being able to put his quarterbacks in a position where they can succeed and they play with confidence. And now we're seeing how much he truly had an impact on Russell Wilson's success in Seattle.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, Russell didn't know it at the time, but he misses him for sure. And I think you're absolutely onto something. Pete Carroll is one of those guys, if you're in a room with him, you feel better just being around him. He's got so much energy. He's upbeat. And I think the rub-off factor on his players, and particularly on Geno, has made all the difference in the world. And you see it. He was terrible with the Jets. He is a more than serviceable quarterback right now.
Corbin, we possibly are going to have P.J. Walker coming here. And, it's weird. I picked the Browns to beat the 49ers at home, but I've always marked this game as a game where it's going to be very difficult for the Cleveland Browns to win. You look at your performances that you had in prior weeks. You guys are getting after the quarterback. This defense, I wouldn't say it's the Legion of Boom, but what are some things that they're going to try to do if P.J. Walker is the quarterback going into one of the most difficult places to play?
Well, first and foremost, stopping the run is going to be the number one priority for the Seahawks defense. And it's incredible the transformation they've had. They were 30th in the league last year in run defense. And this year, for most of the season, they've been first in yards per carry allowed, and it's the Bobby Wagner factor. He is still a phenomenal player at 33 years old. In fact, in training camp, I was making this comment when I was watching. There was a play on DJ Dallas, one of their running backs. He was stride for stride with him on a wheel route. I'm like, Bobby Wagner looks faster at 33 than he did at 31, and he's playing like that on the field right now for the Seahawks. But he has had an infectious effect on the rest of this defense from a run defense standpoint. So if they can bottle up Cleveland's run game, that old school style offense they're going to be running, particularly without Deshaun Watson, then really just put the ball into P.J. Walker's court. And he's going to have to deal with that secondary. And I'm saying this right now. I said it yesterday. Devin Witherspoon is already the best player in Seattle's defense. And that's no offense to Bobby Wagner. Just said he's having a great season. Some of the other stars the Seahawks have. But this kid is flat out special. He is a playmaker in all facets. And if P.J. Walker is not careful with the football, number 21 is going to intercept him this week. He's that kind of a talent.
He's flashed. He is really, really good.
Although he didn't. DK Metcalf should have stayed quiet on the Jamar, or him shutting down Jamar Chase. I'll tell you that, though.
No, he did a great job on Chase.
Yeah.
He didn't give up a catch to in that game. And he lived up to the billing. I mean, the thing is,
Jamar Chase have 80 yards and a touchdown in that game?
From it. He was excited to go against Jamar Chase. He's that kind of a player.
Corbin, I got your back here.
Didn't Chase have 80 yards and a touchdown in that game?
Listen,
not on him.
Let me give you the advanced analytics here, because Corbin, I was looking this up this morning because Devin Witherspoon's in our 5 stats you have to know. Against Jamar Chase in one-on-one coverage in that game, 3 targets, 1 catch, 3 yards, 2 pass breakups.
Yeah, he was.
It's 3 targets. Okay, fair enough. Chase had a good game.
Well, it's because Joe Burrow was not stupid enough to throw the ball at him.
Yeah,
I mean,
the 3 targets. No, I think he's right. The 3 targets tells you how well he did. Like, it's not like he was open. Burrow's smart enough to know that.
Did he have 80 yards that game, or am I making it up? I know it was against him.
I thought they held him. I'd have to look back at the numbers, but he had one big play in the first quarter, and after that, they really shut him down.
Yeah, that was such a weird game because...
He did have 80 yards, Bull. You were correct.
Right.
6 catches, 80 yards, but he had 13 targets.
Because the Bengals marched for a touchdown, and then the Seahawks marched for a touchdown, and then the Bengals marched for a touchdown again, and then neither team could get the ball, could do anything really after that. But anyway, all right, so this guy's the real deal. The Seahawks have drafted so well the last couple of years. That's made the difference, right? I mean, because the team was starting to flounder, and the last 2 years they have drafted so well, including with...
They have, and I feel like John Schneider, and I've been saying this for the last couple of years, I feel like he looked in the mirror and realized, like, we need to stop trying to be cute and acting like we're smarter than everybody else. And instead, they've just gone out and drafted good football players. What a novel idea. They've picked guys that are outstanding football players. And also the other theme, they've been picking guys that were captains and they were leaders in their football team. Those are the 2 things they're looking for. They want stud football players, and they want guys that have the leadership aspect. And that's why these guys have been able to come in. Last year's class, I mean, Boye Mafe was probably like their 5th best rookie last year, and he has been phenomenal this season. That class is loaded. This year's draft class, they're getting a lot of key contributions led by Witherspoon, Jackson Smith, and Jigba starting to figure things out. So they have really retooled how they're evaluating players and the guys that are bringing in, and you're seeing the results in the field.
Yeah. We haven't even mentioned Kenneth Walker, who I think is one of the top probably 5 backs in the league. I thought Zach Charbonnet, how do you pronounce his last name? Charbonnet. I thought he would play more of a role, but they haven't really. I know he's been banged up. I think he didn't play last week. But Kenneth Walker's so good, it's really hard to take him off the field.
Yeah, and I've been arguing the red zone issues that's where Zach Charbonnet can really help this football team, and we haven't seen that come to fruition yet. But Walker is like a video game out there with the jump cuts. It's ridiculous. He had a run last week. I mean, Arizona's run defense was actually fairly decent in this game, but there was one play where he juked, and it looked like he jump cut about 6 yards in like a split second, and then, boom, he's gone, 20-plus yard run. And he just has that ability to be a ping pong ball and just bounce all over the place. And it's really fun to watch. Now, it can be frustrating sometimes because there are times he tries too hard to do that kind of stuff. But I think he has done a better job this year than last year of being decisive and getting downhill when he needs to.
Corbin, is Metcalf going to be – I know he was a game-time decision last week, didn't play. Are we expecting him back for Seattle this week?
I would say right now that it's probably a 50-50 proposition, but knowing how DK is programmed, if he is going to be anywhere close to being ready to go, then he'll be ready to play. So if I had to make a prediction right now, I expect he'll be out there. I don't think he's going to miss a second straight game.
Killing my fantasy team the last couple of years. I mean, let's go. What's your prediction for the game, Corbin?
So, man, I always wait till our Friday show in Locked On Seahawks to give a score prediction, but I have a feeling that this is going to be kind of one of those old school, low scoring, grind it out type games. I think the weather could also be a factor potentially. I think that the quarterback situation gives Seattle a clear advantage here. And I think Geno Smith, he knows the mistakes he's made in the red zone the last couple weeks. I think he's going to be a little more effective in that regard. So I give Seattle the edge here playing at home with Geno Smith over P.J. Walker. If Watson was playing and healthy, then maybe we're having a little different discussion. But I think it's going to be a really close game. I think the Cleveland Browns defense is legit. But I think Seattle, with Geno Smith and some of the weapons they've got, I think that they've got a good chance to get this victory and stay with the 49ers in the NFC West. But it is going to be a really good game. I think it'll be tight.
I think the 12th man could be the difference, too, because you're a
always
backup
a big
quarterback.
factor.
You're going to try communicating at the line. The crowd's going to know what they're dealing with, and they're going to be extra loud. Corbin, our producer, McNuggets, has a question for you before we let you go. Go ahead,
Well,
Mike.
you just mentioned the 12th man, Jay. That's what I wanted to ask about. Corbin, you obviously have lived in Seattle. You cover this team. Earlier this year, the crowd helped draw Carolina to 8 false starts, which was the most since 2011. How real is that 12th man effect, and how much more difficult would it make it for a backup or third-string quarterback in that situation?
So it's weird. You look at the last couple years, I have felt like the home field advantage at Lumen Field has not been what it used to be, but something has changed this year. It's almost like the fans that were there in 2013 and 2014 started getting tickets again. It has been totally different. And I think some of it has just been some of these rookies and some of these young players. Like, the fans love Devin Witherspoon and they love Jake Bobo. Like, Jake Bobo built him a statue already. They love him there. And so players like that have really endeared to this fan base. And I think you're seeing a lot of the diehard longtime fans are making their way back to the stadium. And you can tell with the noise. The noise factor is back in Seattle.
Very good. Yeah. Hey, listen, Corbin, thanks for coming
Corbin.
on. I have to ask, man, the mutton chops are on point. Is that like a Millard Fillmore inspiration? Or I love the look, bro.
Look like
when
a second
you
baseman
can't
for
grow
the Pirates
hair
or
on top of
something.
your head, you got to get creative.
I love it, Corbin. It looks great, man. Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
I picture Corbin like in a 1970s baseball card with like a Pirates helmet on his head.
He belongs with
playing
the Pirates.
catcher. I said second baseman, but catcher.
It's
the
a good look.
Seahawks have drafted really well the last couple
They always
of years.
do. Yeah, they're a
but
buttoned-up organization.
But that's the thing. They did really well, and there were a couple of years where they struggled, and the team, started losing their defensive players. They were getting old, and obviously Russell Wilson, was starting to play a little worse. And now the last 2 years they've been like the best drafting team.
He touched on it. Bobby Wagner's found the fountain of youth.
Man.
He looks like he looked 10 years ago. And I don't,
What you saying, Jay?
whatever he's doing, I'll have what he's having.
He's still been a good player, but
He's been great.
I mean, you looking cut up over there, Bobby.
they're a tough team. They got a good defense. They've got a lot of skill position talent.
Man, it's gonna be
and
uphill.
Geno's been pretty solid.
It's going to be an uphill battle. I'm still
a tough game.
leader of the Kool-Aid Mafia, but
the idea they can't win is stupid. I know it's road.
They can.
I will say this, a little bit, not a lot,
Yeah.
a little bit of the shine of the 49ers victory fell off when they lost to the Vikings.
I don't know.
Because I thought that team was invincible, and is always the case in the NFL. Once something looks painfully obvious to everyone,
it pivots
It goes 180.
the opposite.
And we're seeing that with the 49ers. Now, maybe it was a hangover loss. Maybe they were still down. I don't know what happened, but I watched them against Minnesota, and they look human now.
Yeah.
Yes,
the
they
Bengals
do.
are playing at the 49ers this week.
They might be getting them at the right time.
We'll see.
They might be getting them at the right time.
Go ahead, Mike.
All right, a couple of things.
I got
do you want to do a read first?
I got one read, then we'll fill 10 minutes, and we're going
Okay.
to bring in Brad. We're getting Brad mic'd up. We'll talk a little Cavs here in a second.
Never
But
say fill 10 minutes. That makes it sound like we don't have great things to talk
have great-
about.
listen,
We've got amazing things to talk
we
about.
do. Well, we have amazing things to talk about, despite the fact the Browns players said nothing about Deshaun Watson. We will get to that in one sec. But if you guys missed the Barbershop on Monday, it's okay. There's another edition of the Barbershop coming up tomorrow afternoon, 3 to 4 o'clock. G. Bush on the UCSS channel, bringing the Barbershop to the people. G, you giving out more gear? More
Yeah,
swag this week?
hey, put it in the chat right now, man. What y'all want me to give away? Man, you go on to bushlinebeauty.com/thebarbershop. Pick something that you want me to give away, and tomorrow we'll give that away to a few lucky people.
Very good.
So make sure you check into the barbershop 3 o'clock tomorrow. Guys, the Browns locker room was open. Grant Delpit, Kareem Hunt, 2 of the players that spoke.
They said nothing about Deshaun Watson.
Nothing.
Mike, I got something here since there was nothing. Listen to this, guys. Myles Garrett is the Defensive Player of the Week, not a surprise.
Right.
Yep.
Dustin Hopkins is the Special Teams Player of the Week, not a surprise. It's only the second time ever that the Browns have had 2 Players of the Week in the same week. Want to try to guess what year it was the other time?
89.
Not far off. You're close. You're in the ballpark.
87.
You're going further away. G?
Okay, 91.
Oh, getting closer.
93.
Oh, getting close. You're hot.
92?
No, wrong way.
94.
94.
Who were they?
It was Pepper Johnson,
Oh, wow.
who I think of as a giant.
Right.
That's where he spent most of his career. And Eric Metcalf.
Oh.
Eric Metcalf won Special Teams Player of the Year, and Pepper Johnson won of the week, and Pepper Johnson won Player of the Week. And Dustin Hopkins has now won Special Teams Player of the Week 2 weeks in a row.
Crazy.
It really is.
Right now, he's a Pro Bowl kicker. In my mind, he's a Pro Bowl kicker.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to beat Justin Tucker because he always seems to get the
He's
nod.
been human this year. I've seen him miss. He missed a kick that would have beat
Well, but
the
how
Colts.
many has he missed?
I don't know. I think he's missed at least one because
Hopkins has missed 2.
he missed one again. I know, but he's also 6 for 6 beyond 50,
Yeah.
and some of those have been 58, like he's in the high 50s.
Justin Tucker has missed 2, and both have been from 50 yards.
All right, give me my guy.
Yeah, I mean,
We're passing the torch
he's been.
from Justin to Dustin.
Yeah, I like that.
By the way, Hunter Renfrow, apparently. Remember before the season we talked
Yeah,
about? Guy hasn't
lot of
done anything for 2 years.
Yeah,
But and then Browns need to get a better wide receiver than Hunter Renfrow.
I like him, though.
he was released.
No, but apparently the Raiders want to trade him. And yesterday there was a report by Jordan Schultz of who's now with Bleacher Report. He's reporting that Tennessee's willing to trade anybody,
They should,
including
Derrick
Henry.
Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins.
What's Henry's contract?
Is it entering this is the last year of his deal.
Oh, I'm on the
Sports
phone with him right
Illustrated.
now.
Let me
Right now.
Show me.
So
Right
we did,
now.
Jay, when we did those fake trades last week, I gave y'all Saquon Barkley
Yes.
as an option. Well, Sports Illustrated put out a 9 trades we want to see article today. Derrick Henry to the Browns was one of them. For the same compensation I put out for Barkley, a third and a sixth.
Oh, I would do that.
I
in a
would
minute.
be on the phone with them right now.
And I'd rather have, even though he's older, I'd rather have Henry because Barkley's way more injury prone.
If they do not,
I agree.
If they do,
Derrick Henry's a truck.
Yeah.
if they do not make a trade, Jay, I'm sorry to say it.
I know.
They've been given backdoor deals. They've already signed, and this won't be a punt. This won't be a gentleman's punt. This is a medical punt here.
Medical punt.
This is a medical punt.
Yeah.
They're like, listen, we too hurt, but you get an opportunity to get Derrick Henry for free, and you know that's what you're gonna have to do to win games is run the football.
Man. I mean, we looked at Nick Chubb as irreplaceable. If there's going to be somebody outside of Christian McCaffrey that can pick up his slack, it's Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
And if you get Derrick Henry, you just pay his salary for the remainder of this. I just read an article.
Come on.
Jimmy Haslam infuses cash and life into the Bucs franchise.
Oh,
that makes me so
yeah,
hot.
I'll be mad.
It makes me so hot.
The Bucs. Let's go spend it.
Why
here,
are you
Jimmy?
spending that money in Milwaukee?
Yeah.
And
They just won a championship.
Exactly, Jimmy.
What is wrong?
It would cost for Derrick Henry, by the way.
Probably
this year?
$8 million.
Nope.
4,
A little higher.
6.
5.4.
That's nothing. Jay got that in his sock drawer.
By the way,
Let's do this deal right now.
I'll give you another reason to want to trade for Derrick Henry. So we all know he had a terrible game against the Browns.
Yes.
The Titans couldn't do anything.
He's
in that
been
game.
good though this year. It's
If
not
you
like
look at his yards per carry, if you take out the Browns game where he had like 8 carries for like 5 yards,
They put a lid on him.
You take out that game, he's averaging 4.7 yards per carry.
Sounds like
in
Nick
the
Chubb
rest
to
of the
me.
season.
Are you guys ready for the yards by carry per game?
Yeah.
8-point one against Baltimore. That was their most recent game.
And by the way, that's good for us. We got to play Baltimore again, and that's
Yep.
the team that's going to win this division.
Against Indy, they had a pretty good run defense. They held them to 3.3 yards, 13 rushes, 43 yards.
Very good.
Against
you
the
got all
Bengals,
kinds of
22
running
carries,
backs
122 yards, 5.5
Okay,
yards
so
a carry.
he's gashed the Bengals and the Ravens.
Yep.
Let's get him on the phone.
And he also averaged 4.2 against New Orleans.
I'd
He's
be
got a
on
good
0.2
defense.
against
New
the
Orleans
Chargers.
has a good defense.
I'd be on the
also.
phone with Tennessee right now.
Yeah, he's
What
had.
does it take?
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
Make the deal.
I'd love to get DeAndre Hopkins too, but he's got a 2-year contract, so I doubt they'll do that. But
Yeah, I know.
What the hell, Jimmy? You're the richest man in Cleveland, or maybe I don't know. Is he the richest man?
Probably
in Cleveland?
is. I mean, if you look at the equity that he has now in the Bucks and the Browns,
Yeah. Is he richer than Dan Gilbert? Or
I don't know.
No, I think Gilbert would probably
Brad Sellers is in studio because
Brad, who's
we're
richer?
psyched that he's going to join us for the last half hour for Cav Talk. They opened the season tonight. I just looked at Brad, and I'm going to give you his look. We became pros at reading Brad's looks.
Yeah, right.
Here was his look.
how about Matt Colling? Matt Colling? I mean,
I don't know.
let's get
Matt's
Matt.
got a lot of money. He's got a lot of money.
Yeah.
Oh, let's make
Well,
this
Jimmy
happen.
is one of the richest people in America.
And I just read a headline.
Spend the money.
Jimmy Haslam infuses cash and life in
Right.
the Bucks franchise.
Bleep the Bucks.
What?
Jimmy Haslam. Look at me, Jimmy Haslam. Keep the thing. Your main priority should be the Browns. That's the team you're the lead owner with. Stop messing around and go get a running back and go get a quarterback.
Instead,
Stop bleeping
he's
around
spending
here.
a lot of money to help beat a Cleveland team.
That's right.
What am I looking at?
That's a bad
These
job.
businessmen, they have no loyalty.
None.
They just want money.
None.
They want money and power.
That's it.
Come on, Jimmy. We need you.
Let's
Cleveland
go.
needs you.
We need a trade. We need it now.
All right.
We're going to bring in Brad, and I'm going to read some Super Chats while we move some chairs around
Okay,
to get our
great.
7-footer in. So whenever we read you guys, Super Chat is brought to us by our dear friends at PCC Airfoils. If you're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits, well, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up. Plus, full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. Let's get to some Super Chats, guys. Here we got a good bunch. The first one comes from Donnie Stewart. He says, shout out to G. Bush. That guy defends Cleveland to the fullest. Salute, big dog. Sean Cassidy said, I commented on Quincy's post saying the Browns wouldn't get their return on investment from the Watson trade. Later, Watson blocked me. He is soft. Jonathan Mann says, does Deshaun have the yips in addition to the injury? Was the Tennessee game he wasn't overwhelmingly good? Does a $2.99 membership include overtime? It does not. Only the $4.99 does. Bill Dyer says, Doom quotes for the win. Keep up the good work, G. G. Gratz says, trade for Derrick Henry and Jacoby Brissett. Reggie Glover says they have a backup in DTR, a 5th rounder. Teach him how to be successful. Anthony and Earl doing some hand motions. I can't understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to talk to Steve, I think.
Call
that is what we
Michigan.
have
They can
drafted him
decipher
for.
those hand signals.
He is better than PJ if they do that. John Harris said, look at how long it took for them to get over Cade York. Daryl says, Barry, please sign a quarterback. He'll take Wentz or Dalton with our defense in a heartbeat. I believe Watson's injury will linger all season. Go Cavs. Love you guys. UCSS rocks. Brandon Burrow says, Watson didn't even speak to the media today. Pathetic. James Cosby says, thanks, G. Bush.
he's
Keep
probably
those
not playing.
receipts. DJ Brobot says, I'm going to say it again, even though Brady Quinn played here, people forget he grew up a Browns fan.
He is.
He is playing into this whole Deshaun's character contract issue that some of the Browns fan base plays into. Michael Ribovich said, Clip Bull's argument, tag Brady Quinn. We're on it, Michael. James Cosby says, you are giving much-needed perspective. Appreciate it. Go Brownies. And last but not least, DB Dog 21 says, during the game, you're not focused on comforting a teammate that's hurt. You're typically getting a blow, a breather, and getting coached. They did high-five DW coming off the field, but he wasn't by himself the whole game. And those are Super Chats. And with that, we have Brad Sellers in the house to talk a little Cavs.
Man, is it good to see the king again.
OG.
Hey, what's happening?
What is up?
I'm still around.
Hey, kidding me?
I gotta say this first. Congratulations to your daughter. I've been checking out on Twitter. You've been posting some stuff.
man.
She out here looking top 5 in the game right now, man. She's doing her thing, man. Salute to
I
her.
appreciate it. You know my line, keep your head down, keep working, stay humble,
Nose to the grindstone.
and keep it moving.
She will. I know she will because she has you
Yeah.
behind her, reminding her that. every
Yeah.
Are
day.
there WNBA mock drafts?
Yeah, they put them out.
Where they got her?
Well, she still got another 2 years.
Oh.
She still got another 2 years.
Oh,
she
yeah,
could,
I'm thinking,
she
like,
could
coming
come
out
out.
early, like,
Yeah, if you have a
trending though
yeah,
to be
if you
a
want
top
It's rare
five,
on the
maybe
women's
a top
side, right?
right.
It's rare on the women's
wouldn't
side.
be
She's doing well.
She could feasibly be a number 1 pick
Well,
in the future.
Yeah, so this is a crucial year if you want to do that, right? And
Yeah.
so
And how excited are you that the women's Final Four is in Cleveland?
I'm pumped.
Like, I mean, first of all, from a timing
That's crazy.
standpoint, it couldn't be any
Couldn't be
better.
better.
Women's college basketball, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
in my eyes, is as hot as it's ever been.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, Jay. We targeted that. We saw that years
Did
ago.
you really?
When it was time to make selections, I was like, "That's in Cleveland. Year 3. This your junior year. This should be it."
Wow.
I said, "So your thing should be," and I'm always in the ear about like, "We're playing in Cleveland. We ain't gotta get your mom and them ain't gotta get a hotel."
No, but can you imagine the crowd? Can you imagine the crowd base that Maryland? I mean, it's going to be nuts.
It's pretty much like when Paige Beckers went back to Minnesota. UConn went back and played in that championship game in Minnesota. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
right?
as a homecoming.
And I said, so here, this is it. So, but she's trending. The thing I have to caution her always on is this, right? No distractions.
Right.
Stay focused. Right, you're here. You're knocking on the door.
How have you been?
I'm good.
Good.
Real
We've
good.
missed you. We
Yeah,
really have.
listen,
I'm thrilled that basketball season is back because it gives us something else to talk about, but also because we get to see you now.
And real quick, before we get into our 5 burning questions, shout out to Brad for officially having a basketball court named in his honor.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
That's
right.
right.
Brad,
The
that is the highest
Sellers
of
Court.
high. Earl's daughter plays at the Brad Sellers Court.
That's
at
correct.
Warrensville High School. So that is a nice little UCSS tie. And Brad, congratulations.
Well,
on that.
what did that
That's
feel
awesome.
like when you saw it for the first
Well,
time?
shout out to Warrensville City Schools because when they said they were going to wanted to do it, I really didn't think it was, I go about my day every day.
Sure.
Right? So I'm thinking, okay, it's a little dedicated. I walked in, there's the things at Brad Sellers Arena. I'm like, and this thing is all laid out. I'm like,
You take
and this is a brand new facility. This is a brand.
And it's beautiful,
I said,
too.
this thing is unbelievable. And I was like, and the superintendent like, we didn't tell you exactly what we were doing, but this is what we're doing.
I think it would be fitting if Maryland makes the Final Four.
Yeah.
I know that oftentimes they get the court to work out,
yeah.
but also it's not always available. If they're looking for a court to go through practice,
Yeah.
what better
Okay.
synergy than to have Maryland come and work out at Brad Sellers Court?
I think he could arrange
Yeah, we
that.
can make that happen.
Yeah, you
But,
know people.
And the thing about it, I like it is this, and Bridget Freeze, coach of Maryland, has this is the thing she does that, and it's not for just them. She opens up to the public so they can see.
Wow.
Girls can see what this is about.
It's important.
It's important.
It is the
It's
sport.
important.
And also, I read a couple days ago when the WNBA finals were over, highest rated WNBA finals, best attended. I think that the pro game for the women is feeding off the energy of the women's college game.
That is.
Because fans were more exposed to the women's Final Four last year than ever before. And I think they've realized the fundamentals are there, the quality of play is there, and it's entertaining. The WNBA finals were wildly entertaining.
I would just say from top down, not just because I have somebody or two that participate in NCAA level, their basketball, the way they play is reflective of years ago, right?
It's a team game.
It's a thorough game. It's a team game.
Yeah.
You get to people stay in school. You get to watch them grow over time.
Yes.
Fundamentals
are key.
Fans get to follow players. Like I remember when she was 18,
That's
and
right.
now there's
That's-
a lot to be said for that.
Yeah, in the that's hurt men's college
It's
basketball.
killed it.
We don't know the players.
Right.
Unless
No.
you're a diehard.
Nope.
Because
And when you get to know them,
Right.
they're
They're gone.
Yeah, because when we were kids, like you knew guys at least 3 years. Like Magic, I think left after 3 years. But like everybody stayed, except for a few guys here and there, played at least 3 years in college.
Mikey's going to do. We got to turn the page to the Cavs because they opened the season, and we're excited about that. Obviously, as much as we were disappointed at how last year ended, it's funny how you just kind of forget about that,
Right.
and you're ready to turn the page, and they're going to start doing that tonight. Mikey, how are we going to dive into our Cavs talk? What's on?
Yeah,
on
so
the
I
plate?
have 5 burning questions for the Cavs' upcoming season that I feel like are the biggest 5 questions that need to be
Are
asked.
Are we going to need antibiotics for these or no?
No, these are not burning in that sense. These are the hottest questions that Cavs fans and the Cavs team need to have answered by the end of the season. So let's start with this. I'm going to throw it out there, and if you want to let Brad answer first and the rest of you guys tail off, you're more than welcome. G, you can collect yourself. You can let
let me get myself together.
The first burning question for the Cavs for the 2023-2024 season is, did they add enough shooting in the offseason? Point blank period. That is question 1. Brad, you want to start us off?
So I say the Cavs added some much needed shooting. You know, in the playoffs last year, we were at times really playing 4 against 5, right? And it's no slight on Isaac Coro or anybody else. We were playing 4 against 5. That's how the Knicks designed it against us. So we went out and we got a couple players that are going to help us go forward, right? The question will be is, for us, did the core unit that came back this year, did they learn a lesson? Are they ready to take the next step forward?
Do they have skills they didn't have last
Well, that
year?
was a lesson. I think everyone that was in the building saw there was a lesson being handed out by the Knicks.
It was.
It sure was.
Yeah.
And I don't think it got by anybody.
But is this shooting enough? Because they were woefully bad at shooting the 3 last year.
Well, I think you got 2 guys, and Strus and Yang, that can shoot the ball, right? My question will be, and I'll see it here early, and for the Cavs is, have we solidified the 3 slot? That's the question.
Yeah,
that
I
is
imagine
the question.
that's going to be one of Mike's.
So who's going to start at the 3?
Tied in to him.
Okay.
Is Strus definitely going to start?
I think it's by committee. As you know, I don't know who they're going to go with tomorrow night, right?
Yeah.
And so the rotation kind of thrown off because Jared's not going to be there. And so
is that for sure?
I heard it yesterday was absolutely,
because I didn't know that he'd been officially ruled out.
It's official.
Okay.
He's been listed as doubtful and not expected to play.
Hey, y'all know what question I'm about to ask him, right? Y'all know what I'm going to ask?
Yeah, you mentioned 2 shooters that they acquired.
I didn't hear nothing about the other shooter.
But there was a shooter that they acquired through the draft.
Imani Banks, let's roll out.
That's on the list.
Mike
That's on the list.
I saved that for the
I'm
end.
just waiting. He told me, you got to wait, G. Bush. Wait.
I was going to sneak it in.
We're going to walk into that, G.
Yeah.
We're going to walk into that.
But I think we can almost get a preview of his answer. When he talked about the shooters that were acquired, he did not mention Imani
Because
Banks.
I got some background. I got some background because I would just tell you, shooting and playing at 3 are 2 different things. They're entirely 2 different things. You have to understand the psyche of a 3. I was a 3, right?
Yeah.
And the psyche of a 3 should be, wasn't mine, but the psyche of a 3 in this league is that you're a go-to person.
Yeah.
You've got to be a go-to person. You're not a facilitator. You're not a person that's to go set screens. You know, I was just in the antimatter world playing along with a guy that shot the balls, right? Shot the ball all the time, right? But the 3's position is a go-to position, right? So we picked up some shooting. I didn't say they were go-tos.
Yeah.
Right.
They're shooters.
Certainly not.
Right.
Yeah.
So the question is, back to the 3, is that problem and going to be answered? Because it was a problem.
It was. It was a glaring weakness.
Yes.
And
anybody smart in this business in a playoff scenario going to box you in a week.
Well, and that's what they did.
That's what they did.
That's what they did.
And exploited it.
3-1.
Right.
All right, Mike.
Question number 2. Is Evan Mobley ready to take the next step towards superstardom?
And I say yes. It appears to be that he's ready to do that. Year 3 is usually the year where you make the leap.
Right.
So that begins tomorrow night.
Can you give us any insight on things he's done in the offseason, things that he tried to add to his repertoire? Like, why do you believe he's ready?
Stayed in the weight room.
Oh, big.
Stayed in the weight room because you can see his physique, and you're like, whoa.
Is it changed?
Oh, yeah, it's a little bigger. Right?
He's put on 8 pounds of muscle, and he
he's never gonna be. He ain't gonna be Shaq, but I mean, but the way they got it done last year sent you back to the laboratory. Now that tells me when I first saw, I said, "Whoa, you came
and
back."
And he put in the work.
I said, "You came in and put in some work here, right?"
Good.
Now the other thing I've seen in the preseason, he wasn't running around here trying to do a whole bunch of things, right? He was trying to do the things that he can get paid
he needs
off
to work
of.
on.
Right.
Yeah,
Just here, I don't need to do 1,000 things here.
Sure.
Right. You can be the master of many. I mean, the jack of many and the master of none. Right. So your bread and butter is here. The mentality I see for Evan that has to occur is this: will you be aggressive enough to demand the ball from Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell?
Right.
Drop that thing in here to me. Yeah. Because that position, when you're one of the big guns, you have to take that position. You have to know that, players have to know that if you don't get fed the ball, it's going to be a problem, right? And see, we all know when you're playing with bigger, better people, if you don't get to the ball, it's a problem. Now, if you run around here in court and don't say anything about it, they're going to just toss you to the side like, he don't care, right?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question, Brad. Because Evan Mobley, to me, he's a unicorn. We was looking for the unicorn status. We want that.
Yeah, he's that.
Now, I seen this dude, Wemby.
As a freak.
Does Evan Mobley have any of that coming in the future? Because
Wemby's what, 7'4"?
Yeah.
So
crazy.
So
he's a different breed.
So he's a different breed. I mean, that's a freak. I mean, he's got the skill set of many.
Step back game.
Many.
On them
blocks. Right?
Pull up.
Right. So that's what people saw. So when you see that comes around every blue moon. Evan Mobley's not that, right? And they don't have to be that. Because you got two dog guys out front, Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, right? The question, can you insert yourself into that mix? There's no reason why they couldn't have three guys that go for 20 a night.
Does he have the mentality to do that?
We're going to find out, Jay.
Because that's my biggest question. You can go into the weight room.
Yep.
You can work on your footwork and some low post moves, but it's ultimately it needs to be in here, and I don't know that it's there.
You have to demand your space.
Right.
You have to demand your space, and so that way people respect that is his space.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if I come down here and the guys I know that really will get it in, if you didn't feed them, they wouldn't run them down the court 6-7 times without touching the ball.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Just
you
on a rebound.
You better drop that thing in here.
He needs to find his voice.
That's right.
And he needs to be the squeaky wheel.
Right.
And
now, Jay, imagine if you can have 3 20-plus scores. I'm not just talking 20, 27, 24.
You're a deep run playoff team.
You're a run playoff team.
Yeah,
you're a deep run playoff team.
Yeah.
Deep run.
Is that what you?
What did he average last year? What did he finish?
Like 16,
17.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a forceful 15 or 16.
no, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was usually a quiet.
It was
15.
like I'm a complimentary guy. Well, I don't
Right.
want to be a complimentary guy.
Yeah.
I'll be a focal guy.
He's an entree.
Yeah, I'm a focal guy.
Yep.
And then that way, boy, you should see the attitudes like well, especially when I was on the Pistons. Oh my God, don't get my boy Mark Aguirre. I love Mark to death. Don't let Mark Aguirre get that ball a couple times. Boy, it's gonna be a conniption fit on the sideline.
Yeah.
Chuck Daly, when they pull him out of the game, be like, Brad, go get Mark. They just put their head down when Mark walked by.
Let me
Just so Mark can get by and go to his seat.
OG, remember how they used to do Kevin Love, right?
Yeah.
With the big three. They used to every first play of the game.
Yeah.
Let's get Kevin involved.
I hate that. But go ahead. I used to be that guy.
Why you get the ball?
And then not come back to you.
Yeah, you got yours.
Right.
So why, is JB gonna make an emphasis on making Mobley a part where he get more players?
Well, I think JB reacts to the reaction, right? Listen, tomorrow night when we tune in, bull.
Yeah.
Keep your eye focused on Mobley. I want to see your position.
Yeah.
Do you want this thing? Because when you see women, he wants the ball.
Oh, no.
Oh, you're going to bring this over here.
He's gonna. By the way, you think he's going to be like a top, I'll say 20 player as a rookie in the NBA?
Oh, yeah.
He's already there right
I
now.
think so. I
Top
think
10 maybe? Or
I
is that
don't
too
go
high?
top too high. But I said,
Yeah, we
if I
can
say
slow
the bull,
roll it, but
he's a freak.
just on his
I like
skill
when
set.
I see the highlights. I say, what is this?
No, I had to inform myself on
I said,
it.
what is
I
this?
said, this is nasty. He blocking jump shots.
What is this?
Brad, who's his comp? Who is the guy that
He is. Let me, if I can roll it, he's a.
Because I don't think there's one
He's
player.
a multitude of people.
I know.
You've got some Durant in there, right? Because he's looking to score. You got some Ralph Sampson in there
I
because of
thought
size.
Ralph Sampson was, I thought of
This is a creative player.
Yeah.
You got some guards because his passing game is stellar.
He's a
right?
cheat code.
He can run the floor.
He can run the floor.
Is he going to get some quadruple doubles with blocks?
Probably.
Is that possible?
It's gonna happen.
This is a freak.
He's not
and
getting
that-
assists like that.
And then that comes on. What is that on tonight? Is that on tonight?
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
It's tonight.
Every team that didn't play yesterday plays tonight.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
tonight.
okay.
They play
Yeah,
tonight on
okay.
TV.
Okay.
Right? He's a freak. And look, the thing about it, and the best thing for him, it's in San Antonio, so he's not going to be on Front Street every day.
No.
Anybody dial in to see San Antonio.
And he gonna get coached hard.
They will this
too.
year.
He
Yeah,
gonna
he's got
get
a great
coached
coach,
hard.
yeah.
Jay, you ever seen the stick that Barkley does on San Antonio?
With the Riverwalk.
No, with the churros.
No.
Oh,
I don't know that I
yeah.
have.
Look it up. It's funny.
Why? Just that it's boring and there's nothing to do?
No. He talking about the people of San Antonio. It's funny.
Right.
No, it's funny.
Right.
It's
What's
funny.
the next one, Mike?
It's funny.
Next one involves Mobley and this person that plays the same position, to a sense, as 1B. We saw it last year, and I think the question will have to be finally answered once and for all this year. Can Mobley and Allen coexist offensively in the playoffs in today's modern NBA?
Yeah, and I say, so Allen's not an offensive player. I mean, he feeds off of.
We're kind of saying he needs to be.
He benefits from. I don't think he's going to be that person, right?
Right.
And I don't really need you to be if Mobley steps up and does his thing, because I
Right.
can't have more than 3 people really getting it in, right?
It's
The other
hard.
people are complimentary. So my eyes is not on Jared. It's how much leap, Evan, year 3,
Can you make?
did you make?
Yeah.
Right?
If
Because
he takes that leap, then it's fine.
right. If he don't make that leap,
yeah.
then people's gonna start saying,
It's
you know,
never going to happen.
They're right. That's what happens in this business, right?
Can he play at, the spacing part, can he play at the elbow? Can he be a facilitator if they give him the ball and he's at the nail? He can.
I mean, the only thing you have to do at the elbow is catch the ball at the elbow and be able to shoot it from the foul line extend. That's all you have to be able to do. And then 2 dribbles in.
Maybe 1-2
in the
dribbles.
paint. You don't have to be a 3 guy. I mean, it's not like you shooting 7 threes a game, right?
No.
So you shooting a couple threes. I said your consistency is what this is about. Can you consistently be a threat to go from the foul line extended in, scoring the block, in the paint, and can you do it on a consistent basis where if you tell me, gee, you can put up 23, 24 points a night, that's a leap. Because that's 7 points better than you did last year, right?
Yeah,
And so if you do
that's
that,
What's the
that's
line
huge
tonight,
leap.
Mike? What's the line?
2.5.
Who they
They are
play?
favored by
The
2.5.
Nets.
They're at the net.
Yeah, the Cavs are favored by 2.5.
Okay.
Well, the league and the bettors are not a believer yet because they saw what happened against
Yeah.
New York.
That's the last
It's hard to for me, I'm finding it hard to be excited about the team because of the way it ended. Like, they played so well in the regular season, and then they flamed out in the playoffs. So I'm finding it hard to get excited
Bullis
about
said,
the
I'm
season.
dismissing the entire regular season this year.
Yeah,
I'll
like,
start
I don't
judging
even
them
care. I
in
don't
April.
care in terms of, like, I can understand the ride could be fun. There'll be fun games. But in the end, they could win 50. What did they win last year?
51, 52?
Was it 51?
51.
Like, they could
51,
win
I believe.
50-something games again. I'm not going to have a lot of faith going into the
Well,
playoffs.
the regular season is a regular season. It's good and fun to watch, but
Yeah.
the bread and butter is in the playoffs. So if you're making a step as a franchise to the next level, you have to elevate. You have to erase what happened in the spring of this year, right? And
Yeah.
you have to erase that.
Yeah.
Because it's in everybody's mind.
And Mike said that leads us right to our next question.
It does. Our next question is the big picture of the Cavs. We have seen in recent, let's say last decade, small guards have not fared very well in the playoffs outside of Steph Curry. That's actually the history of the NBA. But backcourts with 2 small guards.
Well,
I
what
mean,
about Isaiah
especially-
Thomas?
This is a rarity.
40 years ago.
Yeah, we're talking 40 years.
Iverson.
All right, fair enough.
Historically
Yeah,
speaking,
historically,
small
Historically.
guards
You're doing
as
it
your
bigger.
top dog
Yeah.
have not been a championship recipe. So the question is, can Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, 2 guys who can be all NBA talents this year, be a championship backcourt?
Yeah, I think I said in the answer that they could be, but if you surround them with the complementary people across the front line, if you're going to go small in the backcourt, your front line got to be big.
Yeah.
It's got to be big.
Well, we are.
Right. Well,
But are they the right kind of
Well,
big?
you got 2 bigs, and then you got you don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, that's the question.
You don't-
Again, it
you
comes
don't-
back to that.
You don't know where you are here,
I
right?
know, I
So that's the problem. I've seen 2 guards. I played with 2 guards. One was 6'1" and one was 6'2". Joe said he'd tell you 6'3", but okay, I'll give Joe 6'3". All right, so the small guards in the stature of NBA players, your front line better be big.
Sure.
Better be big. And better play big.
Let me ask you this. You look at the trade. Do you believe that the Cavs would have been better off letting Mobley develop, letting Garland develop, and keeping Lauri Marketing? And you have a lineup where you got a Lauri Marketing, you got a Mobley, you got Allen, you got Garland, and you still go get Strus in the end. Would you like that better?
Well,
does that vibe better?
I'm always one G that when you get a transitional talent, which Donovan Mitchell is, that if you have a chance to acquire it, you acquire it. But I'm also a proponent of big lineups. I like big guards, and I like big forwards.
Yeah.
We play big. In Chicago, I'm gonna tell you when we went some lineups here. So Pippen would run the 1 at 6'7". Jordan runs 2 at 6'6". I was running 3 at 7 foot. Horace Grant was 6'10", and Cartwright was 7'1", right? And they were big, mobile. We could get out, right? Contest, block, length, defend, right? And so if you don't have those pieces like that, I can still play with guards, but the front line's got to really do its thing here. Yeah. I just keep coming back to it, Bull. That threes position, you're gonna know real quick in this season where the hole is, if there's a hole. You're gonna know it real quick.
Yeah.
And it's, unfortunately, it's the hardest hole to fill.
Right, it's the hardest hole to fill.
Pause.
Yes, super. Duper.
Yeah.
What's the next
Mikey?
one?
Jay, I just answered your text. I don't know how you did that, but yeah.
I don't know what the hell you're asking me right now.
You went back to a text from July 11th somehow and responded to a text from July 11th.
Oh, because you never text me directly.
I know, yeah. So
it's always a part. But so I got this, and I'm like, what the hell are you asking me?
Yeah, no, you just scrolled back. I texted that on July 11th. You must have scrolled back.
It was the last thing you've texted just me.
No, it's not, and I'll show you after the show. I promise you. You went way up. Last question, G.
did?
Bush. This is the G. Bush special.
Yeah.
Brad, please educate the people. Bull, I put this in here just for you. Is Amani Bates ready to contribute on the NBA level as a rookie?
There you go.
Very intriguing player.
By the way, Amani Bates makes Brad look fat.
Yeah. So I would say, I'm going to tell you this. And so, here, nice young man. At the Cavs had a gala a couple weeks ago, Wine and Gold gala. And so he and I got to talking in the hallway, he and I, Amani and I. And a real pleasant conversation, handled himself well.
You like him?
Like him. And then I ran into Derek Coleman and Grant Long this summer at a Retired Players Association event in Vegas, right? That's why I asked them about, they knew I was broadcasting for the Cavs, and they were like, I said, what about Amani Bates? Let me tell you about Amani Bates. He said, he got a lot of talent, but he's somebody got to harness it and bring it in, right? He never really had that coming up where somebody was saying, this is where we're going, right? But he got talent. Somebody's got to be able to bring it in. So for me, the things I've seen from the summer league, early in the preseason, he got a chance. I told him this. I said, you have a chance. I said, and I will tell you this, if they give you 2 minutes, turn into 4. If you get 4, turn into 8. If you get 8, turn to 16.
Right.
16 into 32.
And you do that by being productive.
I said, be on time, be about your business, and show them that you're dependable. I said, you got to.
Has he done that so far?
So far, it's been okay. I said, you got a pathway.
Okay, that's not a ringing endorsement.
Well, we only ended this thing in a couple weeks.
No, I know, but you haven't seen any missteps.
No, I'm not there on a daily basis, but the stuff I've seen.
Yeah. So far, so good.
So far, so good. I went out to Vegas to see it. I said, let me see what this looks like.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I wanted to see what it looked like. And so his mind, when I talked to him, I left, I was like, man, his mind in the right place.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's
he said,
because without that piece, it doesn't happen.
I said, so don't get worried. I said, if they put you in the fourth quarter, don't worry about it. I said, did you know Kobe never really got in his first year like that? They only played him spot minutes.
Yep.
And he said, I knew that because I follow Kobe. I said, yeah, that's how it works in this league. You earn your keep here. And then you build upon that. When you get an opportunity, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16, 16 to 32. If you can just remember that. Yeah. And not get bent out of shape.
And it is a process.
Yes, it is.
Don't get frustrated if you don't get those minutes right away.
And guess what? When you watch him in the preseason, one thing I noticed, I said, oh, okay, the veterans then corralled you out. Hey, bro, you can't be pulled. Hey, we ain't going to do that. Come on, pull it out.
Don't do that. Don't do that yet.
Don't do that. No.
This ain't Eastern Michigan. We got jacket.
You got to rotate that thing a couple times before you can use this.
Early on, it looked like street ball.
Yeah.
It did not look good.
Early.
Yeah, and then you could tell the veterans' whispers got to them.
Talk to you.
What is his high end?
What I think is high end? He could be a solid 22, 23, 24 night game person. Yes, he could. Because he can fill it up, right? And the other thing about the three position that you have to have, you can't have a conscience.
Right.
Yeah, short memory.
That's one of my problems. I had a conscience. I feel bad about it.
Brett Favre playing quarterback. Right. You throw a pick, you come back the next series and you throw another one. Whatever it takes to get over that.
It's just like the pitcher, Jay. Somebody you gave up a homer, you can't be afraid to throw a fastball anymore.
The same pitch. You got to come right back with the same pitch.
Coming back at you again.
So if that's his high end, what can he be this year? Because G has the highest expectations.
No.
For him.
Listen. Let me state it.
Of us.
Of us, yes.
Okay.
If he gets, because he's not the first dude off the bench. You got Karis LeVert gonna come off
Yeah.
the bench. Jerome gonna come off the bench. You got
George's.
Niang. You got Okoro. That's 4 right there, and you still got Dean Wade that they like.
Yeah.
So you 11. What he can get. If you get 6 minutes.
What he
4
had, and I'll
minutes.
take Karis LeVert out the picture. He's a guy that can give you punch.
Yeah.
He can get it going.
Yeah.
Now, Dean
Right
Wade, Dean Wade them can't get it going. I mean, did you saw the games in the preseason?
Yeah.
They were down when he put him in.
Oh.
Yeah,
He
no,
was able
there's
to
a
hit that.
spark
There's
there.
a spark there.
There is
right.
something
So
there.
I don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
But
And we also have to temper it too, because we saw that same spark with DTR.
Yeah.
And then when the bullets turned real,
they said
that spark
they said
was
DTR,
non-existent.
They said DTR for failure. They did.
No, I know they did. I know they did.
They ruined DTR.
Hey, pop quiz, kid, get in there. First time out.
We ain't seen him since.
You know, it
Next thing I saw
reminds me of Tim
next thing I
Couch.
saw DTR, he was in street clothes. I was like, oh my God.
They told Tim Couch, yeah, you might play a little bit at the end of the year. Halftime, it's 41-0 to Pittsburgh. It's get your ass in there, kid. And that's a shock.
In fairness, and you know me, I have crapped all over preseason, and but DeJuan Jones, we made a big deal about him in the preseason, and he's lived
a
up to
starter.
it.
He has.
Yeah.
He's played well.
The starter.
So let's end with this, Brad.
What's that?
How far did the Cavs make it in the playoffs this season?
Yeah, where the
We'll
rubber
go
meets
around the
road.
horn. Let's put a little
Okay.
prediction, a rapid bow on this.
So if you believe in progression, it would be second round in the playoffs would be the appropriate step. Second round or beyond would be the appropriate step.
Okay.
They have to win a series.
That would mean
Yes,
you
they
would
absolutely
you would have
do.
corrected the first woe.
Because I think if they don't win a series,
Right.
I think you're starting to ask questions now, okay, which of these pieces doesn't fit?
Yeah.
And by the way,
Yeah.
Donovan is probably a rental
Yeah.
player now
Yeah.
moving forward.
And it's okay because that's the nature of this game now.
Yeah.
Sure, they move.
Oh, they're trading Donovan Mitchell at probably at the end of next year, especially if they lose in the first round.
Got to get something for
Well,
it.
I hear, and you know, we're gonna hope that everything goes.
Sure.
Because Donovan Mitchell looks like he's ready to go, right? You get to the All-Star break, and it's looking shaky.
And it's not working yet. Then
Then that's when deals are cut, right? They're like,
Okay.
that's when people like
Yeah.
start looking at the future and say, so I don't know. So here, there's enough on the line and on the table, everybody included. That's players. That's JB.
Yeah.
That's everybody.
Sure.
Who's the team? Is it Milwaukee the team to beat? I mean, they get Damian Lillard.
Milwaukee gave. Listen.
Milwaukee scares the hell out of me now.
Listen, Dame Lillard is a great pickup.
Sure.
Drew Holiday is a big loss.
That's true. No, that's a good point.
Right,
Boston's still
because the
good.
one thing that Dame Lillard's going to do, he got to defend somebody over here.
He's gonna get a constant dose of that pick and roll.
You'll get
It's
over
coming.
here.
Yep.
Run that pick and roll
They're
with
gonna
him.
Put him right in the mix.
Yeah, I think that's a good. You got to make it to the second round.
Yeah.
If you don't get out of the first round
God,
again,
it's a disaster.
then this isn't the formula.
Right, right.
There's a component that isn't right.
Right.
Do you like
At least
Boston?
one.
Do you like what they did with Porzingis?
I think that picking up on paper, it looks good,
always
right?
hurt, though.
Problem is, Porzingis stays
Yeah.
hurt.
Yeah.
Other thing, you gave up your heart and soul here
Yeah.
to get these people,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because
Brogdon's gone. I think
Brogdon's
Williams,
gone, Williams,
Um,
and down in
and,
Memphis,
what's his name?
the green hair.
We the
Senior
we
moment.
the
Yeah.
No,
I get it all the
Are you talking about Marcus Smart?
Yes.
Yeah, Marcus
yes,
Smart.
right
Thank you,
there.
my friend.
Yeah.
Marcus Smart. So they might not have been 20-point guys.
Yeah.
But when it came to the Celtics and bleeding green, those were the guys.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
So
that's
now
true.
I'm not sure Porzingis is gonna bleed green. I'm not.
We'll find out
And
fast.
I got one more. See, you done play with a lot of the greats. This guy gets mixed up a lot. Where is Joker as far as a big man? Jokic, because it seems like a lot of the other old vets, they getting on board with being like, I can't lie, he nice.
Yeah, that's what.
Where does he stand? Where does he stand?
He's very nice. He's nice. And so why are people slow to get on board? Because he's not athletic, super skill you got. But when you look at it in the day, triple-doubled you up. He's winning. You look at his body, you're like, this dude here. And I like, this
Kind of
dude,
looks out of shape.
this dude we kill him.
He doesn't look fit.
It's-
But man, you don't make that mistake
He-
of underestimating
he
what he
killing
can
him.
do.
Yeah.
He killing him.
He's the guy that shows up
So
at
that's
the
I
pickup
heard-
game, and you're
I
like,
heard-
yeah, I'll take him.
I heard Reggie Miller last night said, great Ann Myers had texted Reggie Miller and said, because Reggie was like, man, the Joker here, he in the top two here. He's
Right.
going to, and then And Myers texted Reggie and said, well, I saw Bill Walton in his prime. And he was like, Annie? I'm sorry.
Right, yeah.
No, we're not going to do that.
I'm sorry.
All right, man, that half hour went fast.
Yeah.
It is so good to see you again.
Good to see you guys.
Brad, you want to stick around for overtime real quick?
Yeah.
I got a little more cat specials for you.
That's
All right,
fine.
very
Not
good.
a problem.
Overtime coming up next.
Yeah.
By the
Don't
way,
go
when we
anywhere.
talked about the price looking different for being a member, it's actually if you buy the membership on an iPhone,
They hit
they
you for a
charge you
$2
for that.
fee.
So get your membership,
Just buy it
somewhere
on a
else.
desktop.
somewhere else.
Buy it on a
do it on
desktop.
Straight on
desktop.
YouTube.
We had
That's
no
crazy.
say in that. I swear that had nothing to do with
No,
us. Brad,
well,
Oh, wow.
Brad Sellers Arena.
There it is.
We have to do maybe a remote show from Brad Sellers Arena.
you're right, we do.
Yeah.
Maybe when the Final Four is in town.
Yeah,
Overtime.
No question.
Peace.
Bull out.